Chapter 751. Chun Shui was the calmest among them, but she was also the strongest. She rarely lost control of her emotions. But this time, she could no longer hold it in. She could only watch helplessly as her partner was surrounded by so many strong enemies. Her life was at stake, but she did not even have the qualifications to stand out. She would only be a burden. Who could she blame? She could only blame herself. She could only blame her cultivation for being too low and her combat strength for being too weak. Come, Xiao Shui, don't say so much. Let me introduce you. This is Chun Ling and Li Yang. Chun Ling calls me Big Brother, and Li Yang is her brother-in-law. Both of them have immortal spirit bodies and have obtained the inheritance of the primal mystic realm. They specialize in soul cultivation and are very powerful. This is Coiling Dragon, a disciple of the Manhuang tribe, a hidden force in the vast universe galaxy. He also obtained the inheritance of the primal mystic realm. He is on the opposite end of the spectrum from Ling, and Brother Yang. He specializes in physical body cultivation. Coiling Dragon's inheritance is very powerful. I only obtain a little, but not only did my physical body improve, even my soul and willpower became much stronger. This is Du Jing. Like Coiling Dragon, no discord, no concord. He's also my brother, a true disciple of the Poison King Valley. Chun Hao grabbed Chun Shui's hand and introduced them directly. After that, Chun Hao introduced Senior Immortal Han Mei, Senior Immortal Yun Wei, and the others to Coiling Dragon and Du Jing. Then, he let Chun Ling, Li Yang, Coiling Dragon, Du Jing, Senior Immortal Han Mei, Senior Immortal Yun Wei, Senior Immortal Yun Wei, Senior Immortal Dong Lu, Senior Immortal Yun Wei, 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 Senior Immortal Dong Lu, Senior Immortal Yun Wei, and of course, in the eyes of others, Chun Hao wanted to have a close interaction with Chun Shui, Long Ting, and the sisters. How could the wise Chun Hao not see that Chun Shui and the others were stimulated? There was a reason why he emphasized introducing Chun Ling, Li Yang, and Coiling Dragon. All along, they had been used to Chun Hao's arrogance. However, the sudden appearance of Chun Ling, Li Yang, and Coiling Dragon, who were not inferior to Chun Hao, had stimulated them. Innate spiritual intelligence, nurtured by nature, hundreds of ancient divine beast blood essences. When Chun Hao explained the situation of Chun Ling, Li Yang, and Pan Long in detail, the girls were shocked. After hearing Chun Hao's explanation of the two extreme great inheritances, everyone was even more shocked. That's why we're not bad at all. Walk your own path and cultivate your own Tao. The only difference was time. When you step into the Heaven Immortal stage, you might be even stronger than them. What's more, we haven't fused our yin and yang yet, right? You only know how to comfort us. Chun Shui said shyly. The beautiful sisters' faces were also slightly red, but they secretly looked at Chun Hao with joy in their eyes. The fusion of yin and yang. Only the thick-skinned Long Ting did not have any misgivings. She said the spatial laws of the primitive mystic realm are too strong. The effects of the Nirvana elixir also require a lot of time. We have been in the 9 seals of immortal sealing for such a long time, but we have not had any effect even once. Sister Ting, you can't wait any longer? If that's the case, I don't mind not using the effects of the Nirvana pill. Chun Hao said, No way. Even if you don't want it, I still want it. After comforting the 4 girls, Chun Hao also stepped into the core of the palace and began to cultivate. Although the siege of Humaiyang, the 4 wild dragons, and many other Heaven Immortal experts had been resolved, Chun Hao knew that it was only temporary. Once the 9 seals of immortal sealing were broken, they would be able to recover their true strength of the Heaven Immortal stage. At that time, they would definitely make a comeback. At that time, it would be the real crisis. Huff! Chi-chi-chi. A month later, the core palace suddenly shone with a dazzling and dense light. Senior brother got it? That's awesome. And I said I had hope. Pan Long scratched his huge head, and there was a hint of admiration in his wild eyes. Big brother is so awesome. Yeah, we still have a lot to go. Chen Ling and Liang also looked at Chun Hao, who was surrounded by dense qi, with a hint of admiration in their eyes. Du Jing took a deep breath, and there was a touch of excitement in his eyes. Compared to the others, he was originally just Chun Hao's sole slave. But now, the contract had been broken by Chun Hao. This made him feel grateful. He knew very well that if it were him, he would definitely not be so magnanimous and would not be so open-minded. Fortunately, even though he knew that he was going to die, he still chose to fight side by side with Chun Hao because of his gratitude. Perhaps it was because of this that he could now become Chun Hao's brother. He said that in front of Chun Hao's closest people. At that time, he looked calm, but he was actually very excited. This was a feeling that he had never had before. And now, Chun Hao had obtained the inheritance of the core palace in just a month. This made him even more excited. He knew that he had made friends with a true monster, a monster that could look down on the entire vast universe galaxy. Big Brother is only at the medium stage of the Earth celestial stage now. Du Jing clenched his fist and thought to himself. Almost. Chen Shui opened her bright eyes and looked at Chun Hao. Although she did not know how the others were doing, Chun Shui knew that Chun Hao was just one step ahead of her, and she was just one step away from comprehending. Besides Hao, I will not be worse than anyone else. When Daoyuo Jingxian was here, I could still become a real natural Taoist fetus. I will be stronger. Thinking of the terrifying strength that Hu Meinyang had shown, Chun Shui was more confident. Have you comprehended it? So fast. Long Ting seemed to be sitting cross-legged, but at this time she stretched and yawned. Whether she had comprehended it or not was a problem. A leopard could not change its spots. Long Ting, who was a lazy person, had already forgotten the pressure from before, and her mentality was surprisingly good. She had the charm of being unperturbed by favor and being as kind as water. This was her Tao, the Tao that she had cultivated since she was a child. Eat, sleep, dream, cultivate, qi. Puff, hiss. The moment the dense air dissipated, a stream of light suddenly appeared out of thin air in the core of the palace. An ancient sacred treasure sword that was blooming with bright light and pressure was inserted in front of Chun Hao, and at the same time, 3 milky white lights directly integrated into Chun Hao's forehead. It's still a low-grade one. Fortunately, it's the best of the low-grade. Chun Hao held the treasure sword in his hand and sensed its aura. Come, I have obtained the lost art. I will pass it to you. If you are suitable, you can practice it. If not, you can just look at it. Hiss! Suddenly, milky white light of memory escaped from Chun Hao's forehead and floated to everyone. Chun Hao was never stingy with the lost art inheritance. In fact, he did not care about it all. The girls, Pan Donglu and Pan Dongsheng, were already used to it. Chun Ling and Liang also knew, but Pan Long and Du Jing were slightly moved. This was the lost art inheritance of the ancient universe. It was priceless in any sect in the vast universe galaxy. Even if this lost art was not very powerful, it still had great research value. But Chun Hao passed it to everyone directly. Come and pick, see what you need. This time we will go separately. Me, Liang, Chun Ling, Pan Long, Du Jing, the 5 of us have to take advantage of this time to look around and hunt them down. Otherwise, when the 9 restrictions of Immortal Sealing are broken, we might be surrounded again. Yesterday, she could have finished the 3rd watch, but at night, her daughter caught a serious cold and had a high fever. Her voice was hoarse, and she could not speak. She went directly to the hospital and only returned home at 5 in the morning. The doctor said that it was quite scary. After the infusion last night, she had to undergo a nebulization every half an hour. When she could speak again, she was allowed to go home. Acute throat inflammation can cause suffocation. She also had to undergo a laryngeal surgery. Now, she has to go for an infusion. How helpless. After the climax, she should have rushed through the transition period quickly. She came back early. There is still the second watch at night. If not, don't wait. Sorry, Wushan still does not have the habit of saving chapters. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 752. Senior Brother, what are you afraid of? I have a feeling that as long as the 9 restrictions of immortal sealing disappear, I can immediately step into the heaven celestial stage. If they come, we'll make them return in defeat. Maybe we can even save a few lives. Pan Long said, Big Brother, when the time comes, Senior Brother, and I should be able to directly trigger the heavenly punishment. The big guy is right. We just need to rest and wait. There's no need to look for them. Chun Ling said, Don't be too confident. Chun Hao shook his head and said, We can win this time because of the suppression of the 9 restrictions of immortal sealing. Once the 9 restrictions of immortal sealing disappear, the real powerful thing is the law of divine ability. I won't even be able to advance to the heaven celestial stage for the time being. The advantage of Pan Long's physical body will also be weakened a lot. Ling, and Brother Yang, you rely on the spiritual platform attack. Humaingyang shouldn't be weaker than you. Plus, they have so many heaven celestial stage experts. What are our chances of winning? If we wait for them to come, we'll only be surrounded by them. It's different if we take the initiative to attack. Even if the 9 restrictions of immortal sealing disappear, we can still retreat and attack. Okay, you don't have to be polite. My package is too big. Take whatever you like. Hiss. Chun Hao activated his mind and immediately took out several divine artifact swords. He directly floated to Chun Shui, Long Ting, the 2 sisters, his 2 masters, Fan Dongsheng and Fan Donglu. I've chosen these for you. As for the rest, you can choose whatever you like. Chen Hao said, Ahem, Senior Brother, yours is at least 1/3 of mine, right? What? You want to take it back after losing? You can only choose 1 divine artifact. Chen Hao said without giving him any face. Forget it. I have the Ares axe. I'm not interested in any divine weapons. Pan Long said, but his eyes were still staring at the packages that Chun Hao had opened. His eyes were shining. Obviously, he was not tempted. These 2 swords are not bad. Senior Brother, and I will take 1 each. Chun Ling quickly picked 2 divine artifact swords without hesitation. Wow, this package is full of spiritual fruits. Big Brother, did you specially prepare them for me? Spirit fruit? I want it too. Long Ting didn't have the slightest interest in making a move. Anyway, it was Chun Hao's. Was there a difference between Chun Hao's and hers? However, when he heard Chun Ling mention spirit fruits, he immediately turned into a beam of light. Ah, Sister Long Ting, you glutton. All right, let's split. He who strikes first gains the advantage, and he who strikes last suffers. Du Jing, you don't have to be polite. Yes, boss. It looked like a scramble, but in the end, everyone only chose a few items that were truly suitable for them. Compared to Chun Hao's huge bag, this was less than 1/10 of it. That night, Chen Hao's group of 5 and Chen Shui's group of 8 all quietly left the core palace. After stepping out of the city, Chen Shui's group of 8 and Chen Hao's group of 5 went their separate ways and quietly headed towards the depths of the wilderness. For safety's sake, they naturally couldn't stay behind. A corner dog will jump over a wall. If they really used Chen Shui's group to threaten Chen Hao, then it would really be dangerous. Miss Hu, it seems like they have already obtained the core palace's inheritance. What a fast speed. Maybe it's that Chen Hao, on a barren mountain that towered into the clouds 5,000 miles away from the city. Humaingyang, the 4 wild dragons, and more than 30 heavenly celestial experts gathered together after escaping. After sensing the mysterious fluctuations coming from the direction of the city, their expressions became serious. Conceal your aura and be careful. Since they have obtained the inheritance, it's very likely that they'll look for us near the city. I believe they'll definitely be able to predict that we won't give up just like that. Humaingyang gazed in the direction of the city and said softly, Should we go further away? What are you afraid of? We're not their match for now, but there's no problem in running away. When the 9 restrictions of celestial sealing are broken, it'll be time for us to kill them. We, the 4 wild dragons, have never been so oppressed. Brother Juan, it would have been great if you could have used the real 4 symbols unite as one to trigger the heavenly punishment. Now, we can't let our guard down. Chen Hao will be fine. After all, he's only at the medium stage of the Earth's celestial stage. Even if the 9 restrictions of celestial sealing disappear, he can only advance to the late stage of the Earth's celestial stage. It's impossible for him to advance to the heaven celestial stage. However, it's hard to say if Pan Long and his cultivation partner can trigger the heavenly punishment and step into the heaven celestial stage. It's really hard to say if we can do it. Yes, their combat strength is really terrifying. Once they step into the heaven celestial stage, I'm afraid we won't have any advantage, even if we have more people. The real strength of the 4 wild dragons is the law of the divine ability. Once the 9 restrictions of celestial sealing disappear, so what if they're heaven celestials? Without the suppression of the 9 restrictions of celestial sealing, we can kill heaven celestials at the Earth celestial stage. At this moment, we're already heaven celestials. Panlong's strength lies in his body. When he steps into the heaven celestial stage, the 4 of us will have no problem killing him. As for Chun Hao, you can easily deal with him. There's no need to fear him at all. Whether or not you can kill them depends on you. Miss Hu? Wan Long said arrogantly. After he finished speaking, he looked at Hu Mainyang, who was surrounded by the law of Tao and looked beautiful and enchanting. The 2 of them have strange origins. I've never heard of them before. In this battle, I found that the supreme techniques they used were dominated by their soul energy. It's a great pressure on my spirit and will. I can't unleash my true combat strength. However, when the law of the divine ability is fully restored, the advantage of my innate Taoist embryo will be even stronger. Even if I can't defeat them, they can't do anything to me. Hu Mainyang said confidently after pondering for a moment. That's good. He believed that it wouldn't be long before the core city disappeared. I just don't know if they'll run away in advance to avoid us. I don't think so. Hu Mainyang said, we just have to hide ourselves well. I'm afraid they'll come out and look for us now. Let's go back to the cave. With the protection of the seal and our cover, it's impossible for them to find us. Once the 9 restrictions of celestial sealing disappear, we can travel 5,000 miles in an instant. Voila! Voila! No one would have thought that 3 figures would be sitting cross-legged on a majestic mountain surrounded by immortal light in the core area of the 9 restrictions of celestial sealing. One of them seemed to be in the Milky Way of the 9 restrictions of celestial sealing. A boundless, mysterious aura and a terrifying energy washed over her. The other 2 figures were also immersed in cultivation. Their auras were so powerful that even Chun Hao would be surprised if he saw them. Chi! 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 Suddenly, the girl in the Milky Way of the 9 restrictions of celestial sealing opened her eyes. Her eyes shone with an extremely dazzling light. Immediately after, she let out a delicate cry. She formed a seal with her hands and raised them to the sky. An extremely dazzling light shot out from between her eyebrows, as if a heavenly gate had opened. In an instant, the Milky Way of the 9 restrictions of celestial sealing surged and gathered between her eyebrows. She succeeded? Xiao Wu really succeeded? The other 2 girls stood up in pleasant surprise and looked at this incredible scene before them. To be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 753. Time passed by minute. After more than 10 minutes, the 9th heaven Milky Way finally completely entered between Helian Wuzi's eyebrows. Success. Helian Wuzi murmured. It seemed that even she did not believe that she could do it, but she really did it. Boom. Helian Wuzi slowly got up. With a thought, her whole body emitted a bright light. Her long hair and clothes fluttered, and a majestic and terrifying pressure made the whole space tremble. Clang! The moonlight sword was unsheathed. With a wave of her hand, a full moon bloomed in the sky and whizzed out. Rumble, the mountains collapsed and the earth cracked and the earth trembled. One by one, the mountains collapsed and turned into huge rocks and debris that filled the sky. Is this the power of the chaotic immortal light? Hellion Woozy stared at her most precious moonlight sword and murmured. The Moongate sword was originally an Earth-grade spiritual weapon, but it was refined by Hellion Woozy as a natal magic weapon. After being refined by the chaotic immortal light, it had been upgraded to the spiritual treasure level. The spiritual treasure level was still not high, but in Hellion Woozy's hands, it was more precious than a divine weapon. And as a natal magic weapon, its power was even greater. So powerful. Xia Yuyu and Tantai Lien were shocked. They jumped to Hellion Woozy's side and said, "Little Wu, congratulations on obtaining the inheritance. Immortal reincarnation, immortal reincarnation. I had hopes of obtaining it. Now that I've returned, it's not a big deal to continue what I couldn't do back then. Little Lien, Yuyu, we've obtained the strongest inheritance in the core area. After so many years, they should be breaking through the 9 restrictions of celestial ceilings soon. We came from this direction. How and the others came from the same teleportation point as us. If there are no accidents, they should enter from this direction. Why don't we go find them after we trigger the divine punishment?" Xia Yuyu said. Okay. After entering the heaven's celestial realm, my Phoenix inheritance will be further integrated. The strength of Phoenix and Phoenix will also have a qualitative change. At that time, it should be easier for them to sense him. Little Wu, do you need to stabilize? You obtained the strongest inheritance, and you obtained it the latest. No need. My realm has already reached the peak of the late stage when I comprehended the inheritance. There won't be any problems. Then I'll go first. I was the first to obtain the inheritance. Xia Yu raised her head and looked at the endless void. Her clear and childlike eyes flashed with confidence. She was now many times stronger than before she had entered the 9 restrictions of immortal bestowment, the holy land for training. Boom! Following Xia Yuyu's words, her entire person's essence, qi, and spirit suddenly erupted, shooting straight into the sky. Chi, chi, chi. Huff, huff. In an instant, the winds and clouds surged as heaven and earth shook. Like a hurricane, with Xia Yuyu as the core, it crazily spread out in all directions. 1,000 li, 10,000 li, 100,000 li, 1,000,000 li. There was no suppression from the 9 immortal sealing restrictions here. Be it the energy of heaven and earth or the Tao laws, they were the densest and most powerful place in this holy land. Even though they were both earth immortals and celestial immortals, heaven's punishment was destined to be 10 times or even 100 times more powerful than it was in vast universe galaxy. Yuyu's heavenly punishment is so strong. Hellion Woozy and Tantai Lien's expressions became serious. Yuyu, be careful. If you can't take it head on, then don't. We were lucky enough to obtain powerful inheritances that are most suitable for us. We're already very strong. Tantai Lien said. Don't worry. Xia Yuyu's skin became as translucent as white jade. Yuyu obtained the crystal jade sovereign's inheritance. Her body has already been transformed into a jade crystal. Jade crystal, heaven's punishment, is the best way to refine it. At the highest level, as long as you activate your energy, your entire body will become like a jade crystal, sparkling and translucent. Now, Yuyu is still the most basic jade crystal, sparkling and translucent but not transparent. However, it should be fine to take it head on, as long as your soul, state of mind, and willpower can withstand it. Hellion Woozy said softly. Over these years, her indestructible samsara inheritance memories kept awakening. She had a better understanding of the 9 immortal sealing restrictions, as well as the original universe of the primitive mystic realm. Hiss, 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 hiss. Dark clouds billowed as endless lightning continued to converge. At this moment, heaven and earth turned completely dark. Only the lightning gathered and flashed. Kacha! Rumble! After gathering for more than 10 minutes, the first heaven's punishment descended. Xia Yuyu easily took it. As the heaven's punishment descended, cracks appeared on Xia Yuyu's translucent jade-like skin. When the last heaven's punishment descended, the cracks were all over but did not dissipate. She had successfully taken it head-on. When the heaven's punishment's energy returned Xia Yuyu to her peak state, her skin became even more translucent, as Hellion Woozy had said. Sky Immortal. I've finally become a Sky Immortal. Such powerful energy, Xia Yu said excitedly, as she sensed the surging energy in her body. It's my turn. Chi. Rumble, Tantai Lien shouted as her body erupted like a volcano. Raging flames soared into the sky. Jie. Phoenixes flew in circles in the sky, forming a phoenix seal beside Tantai Lien. Little Phoenix, Little Huang, you can't help me. Don't worry, Master Little Lien. We'll only use the aftermath of the heaven's punishment to refine ourselves. We won't disturb you. The heaven and earth trembled as it quickly spread to a distance of 1,000,000 miles. It was comparable to Xia Yuyu's before it stopped. The flames around Tantai Lien's body condensed into a 9-leaf immortal lotus. It was as if a lotus had been born, releasing a holy aura, as if it was purifying the world. It was as if a phoenix had been reborn. The most powerful flame in the world, karmic fire. Yuyu, after Little Lien becomes a Sky Immortal, she should be able to condense the embryonic form of karmic fire. In the future, she can help us refine our bodies and purify our souls, burning away all the evil energy in the world. Hellion Woozy said, so powerful? Doesn't that mean all our inner demons can be removed? As long as we can withstand the pain of the karmic fire burning our bodies and refining our souls. Karmic fire is the most powerful flame in the world. It transcends the shackles and is closely related to fate, destiny, reincarnation, and other mysterious things. It can sever the bonds of the world, break fate, and break fate. It's the supreme ability of the most powerful sect in the universe, the Buddhist sect. Buddhist sect? Buddhism is also a type of cultivation. However, it's a shortcut that uses the power of faith from all things in the world as its foundation. The more power of faith one gathers, the stronger one's cultivation will be. It's similar to the way our vast universe galaxy gathers fate. However, it's more direct and clear. The vast universe galaxy is famous and gathers fate. The Buddhist sect enlightens the world and develops believers. Through the believer's faith, it gathers fate and transforms this faith into power. It's incomparably mysterious. This is an extremely heaven-defying thing. It's also because of this that the disciples of the Buddhist sect have to withstand the pain of the karmic fire, burning their bodies and refining their souls. If they can withstand it, they'll advance further. If they can't, they'll die. If you like this work, you are welcome to Conceited. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 754. Thunder rumbled, and karmic fire filled the sky. Tantai Lien was in the 9-leaf lotus platform, enduring the terrifying thunder, but she still sat cross-legged with her hands forming a lotus seal. Her body was on the verge of collapse, but she didn't show any pain with her eyes closed. On the contrary, her expression became more and more serene, as if she had transcended to the world of bliss. Pain didn't affect her body, and she was pure and flawless. When a last bolt of thunder punishment disappeared, the boundless energy of the thunder punishment turned into a resplendent glow that enveloped Tantai Lien's body. Ethereal chanting could be heard from the void. It was like the sound of the great Tao. Success, Chi. Tantai Lien opened her eyes. With a thought, 2 colorless flames formed in her hands, and she shot them into the forehead of the phoenix, who had already hidden far away. Hiss! Boom! Seeing that Xia Yuyu and Tantai Lien had successfully advanced, Hellion Woozy couldn't wait to attack. Her essence, energy, and spirit suddenly bloomed like a cold, full moon, rushing into the sky. The power of reincarnation gushed out, and the chaotic, immortal light bloomed. Heaven and earth shook, and with the speed of a mountain flood, the energy of heaven and earth roared and surged. 1,000 miles, 10,000 miles, 100,000 miles, 1,000,000 miles. When it reached Tantai Lien and Xia Yuyu's level, the shaking was still spreading. So strong, Xia Yuyu said with surprise. Just from the aura of the shaking, she could tell that Hellion Wuzi's heavenly punishment was stronger than hers and Tantai Lien's. Little Wu obtained the strongest inheritance in this mystic realm, the primal chaos supreme's inheritance, and she absorbed the chaotic immortal light. She's definitely stronger than the two of us now that she's a sky immortal. Yes, she still has the energy of the endless cycle of reincarnation. I really don't know how strong she'll be. This time, we'll probably surpass Hao Hao, and Little Wu will be even stronger, Xia Yu said with a smile on her picturesque face. Probably, but how long can we surpass them? The reason we can reach this level and have such strength is all because of Little Wu's endless cycle of reincarnation. As for this place, Xiao Wu also said that it's the orthodoxy left behind by the thousands of mighty figures in the original universe before the universe collapsed. Once they come in, with Xiao Wu and us guiding them, they will definitely be able to snatch the strongest legacy suitable for them. When the time comes, we will fall behind again. I can already feel that the Sky Mortal realm is probably reaching my limit. My potential has been exhausted, said Tantai Lien. And man, I also felt it, Xia Yu said, and this is because of his karmic luck. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't even have been able to step out of the eastern continent of the Wuji star. Today, we're already among the top experts on the Wuji star, Tantai Lien said slowly. After obtaining the Buddhist inheritance, her understanding of the faintly discernible fate had deepened. It was just like the karma of Buddhism, the karma of good and evil. Crack! The terrifying lightning tribulation began to descend. Clang! The crisp sound of the sword suddenly rang out. Hellion Wuzi held the moonlight sword in her hand, and her beautiful little face blossomed with incomparable determination. If a stranger saw this, they would definitely think that Hellion Wuzi had given up on resisting the heavenly tribulation. However, Tantai Lien and Xia Yu, who were familiar with Hellion Wuzi, knew that Hellion Wuzi only wanted to borrow the power of the heavenly tribulation to refine the low-level Moonlight Sword. They were very clear about how important the Moonlight Sword was in Hellion Wuzi's heart. Hellion Wuzi could totally change to a more powerful sword as her natal magic treasure. After all, real natal magic treasures were usually refined when one was in the Sky Mortal realm. However, Hellion Wuzi had chosen the Moonlight Sword early on. That was a gift from Chun Hao when he first left the secular world. She entrusted too many emotions to it. Cultivators had a long life. 100 years or 1,000 years might pass in one meditation. However, the real reflection of a cultivator was when they were young. Crack! Rumble, streaks of heavenly tribulation descended. Hellion Wuzi resisted the heavenly tribulation while using the heavenly tribulation to refine the Moonlight Sword. This caused her to suffer even more pain. However, she had no intention of giving up. Cold as the moon, her extremely beautiful little face was filled with stubbornness. All kinds of spiritual illusions brought by the heavens' punishment appeared and disappeared in her mind. The past life, the present life, the endless cycle of reincarnation, the lonely darkness, the resplendent light. They floated up and down. She seemed to see and feel something. But other than this life and this life in the universe, everything else was vague and unclear. She seemed to see something, but she didn't see anything at all. Only Chun Hao's figure became her obsession. She didn't take the initiative to pursue and explore the fleeting reincarnation, because she was afraid that she would be drowned by all the reincarnation memories and become no longer herself. Therefore, the only thing she could do was to constantly imprint Chun Hao in her mind, engrave it in her heart, and implant it in her soul. She still wanted to be the current her. After the heavenly tribulation ended, the turbulence of heaven and earth disappeared. After Hellion Wuzi was nourished by the heavenly tribulation, The energy around her body didn't converge. Instead, it was activated even more crazily. She spat out mouthfuls of blood essence and used her unparalleled divine thoughts and chaotic divine light to refine the moonlight sword that was cracked to the point of collapse. After a few hours, the moonlight sword once again bloomed with an even brighter light, a supreme-grade spiritual treasure. Faintly, it already had the aura of a divine weapon. Only then did Hellion Woozy's beautiful little face reveal a bright smile. Let's go. We have obtained the inheritance and also stepped into the heaven celestial stage. We can enter the area of the 9 restrictions. Yes. Chi. The 3 of them rose into the air and turned into 3 streaks of light, traveling thousands of miles in an instant. However, the 3 of them flew in circles and retreated from time to time, as if following a kind of rhythm. Hellion Woozy always took the lead, while Tantai Lien and Xia Yu followed behind. They didn't dare to be distracted at all, and flew completely according to Hellion Woozy's trajectory. Obviously, this core space was filled with endless protective arrays. Although it wasn't the law of space, it was like a world of sand. It was impossible for cultivators to advance quickly in it. They had to rely on continuous exploration to advance. The 9th restriction, in the wilderness. Chun Hao and the other 4 had been searching for 3 whole days. However, within thousands of miles of the city, they didn't find any trace of Hu Mainyang and the others. Senior brother, I think we should forget about it. Hu Mainyang has a Khanate Taoist embryo. If she really integrated into the law of heaven and earth, it would be enough to shield us from the heavenly tribulation. It's not very possible for us to find them. Maybe they really left? Senior brother and I have the perception of our spiritual altars. If they were nearby, we should be able to sense them. Chun Ling said, it's impossible for them to leave. That woman is determined to get the Tao Manifestation Immortal Fruit Core. The 4 wild dragons will also fight to the death with me. Once the 9 restrictions disappear, it will be the best time for them to deal with us. There's no reason for them to really escape. Shenhao said, to be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 755. Boss, let's not talk about the Tao Manifestation Immortal Fruit. Look at your bag. When you fought with Brother Coiling Dragon, it was all exposed. After that, you killed so many experts from the foreign tribes and even lost their spiritual treasures. I'm certain that although those heavenly immortals have something to do with Hu Mainyang, their main reason is because they covet your treasures. After all, Hu Mainyang did not bewitch them with her seduction technique. Therefore, none of them will really give up. Du Jing said confidently. Then what do you think we should do? It's not easy to find them. They won't appear until the 9 restrictions disappear. When they appear, we may not be able to defeat them. Chenhao said, Senior brother, you're not thinking of avoiding them, are you? I don't care. Even if I can't become a sky immortal after the 9 restrictions disappear, I still have the power to fight. Escaping is not a problem. It's up to you. Chenhao said, I have nothing to say. Kill them all. We'll go back to the city and wait for them to come. We'll kill as many as we can. Coiling Dragon said wildly. Previously, Coiling Dragon had been worried about killing so many top geniuses in vast universe galaxy. Now that the killing had begun, what was there to be worried about? Moreover, Coiling Dragon could feel that once the 9 restrictions disappeared, he could directly trigger the heavenly punishment and become a sky immortal. With the 9 restrictions gone, the power of my poison technique will increase a lot. I'll listen to you, boss. Du Jing was a ruthless and smart person. In the previous battle, there was no way out. It was either you die or I live. It would be better if they could finish it as soon as possible. Big brother, although I'm not very clear about the situation in vast universe galaxy, I think too much killing will eventually affect one's Tao heart. If you can convince people with virtue, it'll be better, Liang said. TCH, senior brother, don't be funny. How can you convince people with virtue at a time like this? I don't care. Big brother, I support you. I believe that you can create another miracle, big brother. Chun-Ling waved her fists and looked at Chun-Hao with excitement in her eyes. Clearly, Chun-Hao's experience had deeply affected Chun-Ling. Moreover, the quick-witted Chun-Ling was able to determine what Chun-Hao was thinking. Ling-er, I have the same thoughts as you. I just don't want Big Brother to be affected too deeply by the chi of slaughter. However, Big Brother's mind is still clear and untainted. It's not a big deal to kill a few more. It's really difficult to win people over with virtue, especially when dealing with those rascals. That requires absolute strength, Li Yang hurriedly said when he heard Chun-Ling's words. Li Yang's temperament was much calmer. He could feel that Chun-Hao's murderous aura was very, very heavy. Although it couldn't be seen normally, as long as Chun-Hao wanted to kill, there would be a soul-shaking, murderous aura spreading out. This was not a good thing for cultivators. Win people over with virtue. Little brother Yang, we haven't reached that level yet. The path of slaughter had already begun, and he could only kill to the end. I don't like being remembered. Let's go back to the city. All right. Hiss, hiss, hiss. The 5 of them turned into 5 streaks of light and flew back to the city at lightning speed. When they returned to the core palace, none of the cultivators who didn't know that Chun-Hao and the others had left dared to open the door to the palace. Huff! The 5 of them separated in the palace and cultivated alone. Chun-Hao sat down cross-legged and took out the soul-refining pills that Chun-Ling and Li Yang had given him. With the 9 restrictions of immortal sealing gone, my combat strength is probably at its lowest. The only thing that can truly improve is my chi of slaughter. As long as my chi of slaughter is strong enough, and I can use a mental cultivation technique that can merge with all things in the world, I should be able to kill a few heavenly immortals. After swallowing 2 soul-refining pills in one go, Chun-Hao immediately entered the state of soul-refining. Chun-Ling, Li Yang, Coiling Dragon, and Du Jing were all aware of how terrifying the upcoming battle would be. They were all immersed in the final sprint. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. Hiss, hiss, hiss. In front of the city gate, a mysterious and dense fluctuation suddenly appeared, and then 3 figures appeared eerily. Huff! Is this the suppressive power of the 9 restrictions of immortal sealing? How magical! Fortunately, we've all comprehended it. Otherwise, we wouldn't even have 1,000th of our combat strength left. Xiao Yu said in surprise after sensing the suppression of the 9 restrictions of immortal sealing. Previously, in the core area, Helian Wuzi had directly imprinted the 9 restrictions of immortal sealing from the reincarnation inheritance into Xia Yuyu and Tantai Lian's minds in order to obtain the inheritance. With the complete Dao law, the 2 of them only needed to comprehend it wholeheartedly. This saved them a lot of trouble compared to Chun-Hao and the others. In this space, every mountain and every rock is formed by the 9 restrictions of immortal sealing. Comprehending it is one thing, suppressing it is another. Comprehending it completely is the foundation of obtaining the core area's inheritance. This is also the reason why cultivators who come and have to break through step by step are all the inheritances of the mighty figures in the core area. That's not necessarily true. There are still many mighty figures who choose to stay in the 9 restrictions of immortal sealing. If they're lucky enough, they'll definitely obtain it. Actually, the 9 restrictions of immortal sealing is only a relatively powerful sacred ground in the primitive mystic realm. Many cultivators who didn't come in might not have gained much. Xiaoyan, do you sense it? No. Then let's go in and ask. The palaces in the city have the ability to block all auras. In fact, they were all condensed by ancient masters before they died. Before the universe collapsed, there were no cities here, Helian Wuzi said. As she spoke, she took the lead and walked toward the gate of the city. At this moment, the 3 of them had changed their appearances. However, they did not conceal their auras. What powerful auras! Heaven Immortals, 3 of them. Why did they only come now? Is there need to ask? If the 3 of them joined forces, they must have obtained the inheritance of the core palace of the city. Now they're here to snatch this city. That might be a good show. However, these 3 girls are very unfamiliar. With such powerful auras, shouldn't they be very famous? Do you know them? No. Have you heard of them? Even if we haven't seen famous people before, we've at least heard of them. These three are indeed unfamiliar. The moment Helly and Woozy and the other two stepped into the city, the cultivators who were sitting cross-legged around them looked over in disgust and shock. Fellow cultivators, I'm sorry to disturb you. I wonder if you know Chen Hao. He's from Master Dong Lu. He looks. Xiaoyu, who was the most outgoing of the three, walked in front of the cultivators who were staring at them and asked with cupped fists. However, before she could describe Chen Hao's appearance, the strange expressions on their faces made Xiaoyu stop. She asked, "Do you know him? Are you also here for the Tao manifestation immortal fruit? Miss, I advise you to give up on this idea. Although the auras of the three of you are very strong, you are definitely not a match for the god of slaughter Chen Hao. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation." Chapter 756. Tao, a manifestation, immortal fruit core? Killing God? We're not a match for Chen Hao. The cultivator's first sentence surprised the three women. They had long thought that it was impossible for Chen Hao to be unknown, but it shouldn't be that easy to inquire about Chen Hao. But now, the first time they asked, they received such shocking news. Moreover, this cultivator's words contained a lot of information. Firstly, Chen Hao had obtained a precious treasure called the Tao Manifestation Immortal Fruit, and it had caused countless people to fight for it. However, no one had succeeded until now. Secondly, Chen Hao had definitely killed many experts, otherwise it would be impossible for him to be given the nickname of God of Slaughter. Thirdly, and this was the most shocking to the three of them, it was because the cultivator said that the three of them weren't a match for Chen Hao. They were now in the heavenly immortal stage, and they didn't hide their auras. How could they not be a match for Chen Hao? Helly and Woozy was very familiar with the 9 restrictions of immortal sealing. It was basically impossible to trigger heavenly punishment in the 9 restrictions of immortal sealing, and it was unlikely that there would be an expert in the heavenly immortal stage. It seems that the three of you haven't heard about what happened recently, right? The cultivator who spoke smiled and said rather enthusiastically, not to mention the 3 beauties, just the powerful auras of the 3 of them made him say everything he knew. In the dangerous experience, this kind of expert couldn't be offended. Yes, we have indeed just entered the 9 restriction city. Please tell us, fellow Taoist. More than a month ago, Misty Rain House's Saintess Humanyang won clan's 4 wild dragons and more than 30 heavenly immortal stage experts. How could there be so many heavenly immortal stage experts here? Xiaoyu couldn't help but ask, "Don't you know?" Hearing Xiaoyu's words, the cultivator asked in surprise, "I'm sorry, the 3 of us have been training in the wilderness, so we're a little uninformed. Please enlighten us." Xiaoyu said, "I see. It seems that the 3 of you have a great opportunity." This cultivator originally thought that the 3 of them should have coincidentally advanced to the heavenly immortal stage when the 4 berserk dragons defied the heavens and attracted the heavenly punishment, causing Chen Hao to attract the heavenly punishment. But now, it seemed that the 3 of them had other fortuitous encounters, which shocked him. He looked at the 3 of them with even more respect and hurriedly explained Xiaoyu's doubts. However, every time this cultivator spoke, Xiaoyu would have doubts. She even asked about the Tao manifestation immortal fruit, Humanyang, the 4 berserk dragons, and the others. Moreover, when he talked about the conflict between Humanyang, the 4 berserk dragons, and Chen Hao, the expressions on the faces of the 3 of them made the cultivator realize that the 3 of them were not looking for Chen Hao to snatch the Tao manifestation immortal fruit, as they had thought, but were on the same side as Chen Hao. More than a month ago, in the city to our left, Humanyang, the 4 berserk dragons, and more than 30 experts who had stepped into the heavenly immortal stage surrounded Chen Hao. Although Chen Hao, who was originally at the middle stage of the Earth immortal stage, could contend against the heavenly immortal stage experts under the 9 immortal sealing restrictions, he had no hope of escaping. But when the four berserk dragons used the heaven-defying four appearances to attract the heavenly immortal stage experts, coiling dragon of the Manhuang tribe suddenly appeared and called Chun Hao senior brother. There were also two very young and mysterious experts, who were said to be Chun Hao's younger sister and brother-in-law, who appeared with coiling dragon. In addition, for some reason, Du Jing of the Poison King Valley, who was very close to Chun Hao, the five of them joined forces and actually repelled Hu Meinyang, the four berserk dragons, and more than 30 heavenly immortal stage experts, killing several heavenly immortal stage experts. Chun Hao is evenly matched with the four wild dragons who have stepped into the heaven celestial stage. The young couple is suppressing Hu Meinyang, and the coiling dragon of the Manhuang tribe is killing those heaven celestial stage experts with his tyrannical physical strength. That battle can be said to be earth-shattering. However, according to our speculations, Hu Meinyang, the four wild dragons, and the others will not really give up. Once they break through the suppression of the 9 seals of celestial immortality, they will recover to the real heaven celestial stage. At that time, they will attack Chun Hao and the others again. Chun Hao and the others are still in the core palace of that city. There are countless cultivators gathered in that city right now. If it weren't for the appearance of our enemies, we definitely wouldn't have left. Oh, that's right. Ladies, if I may ask, you three should be friends of Chun Hao, right? This cultivator observed their expressions and confirmed that the three of them had a close relationship with Chun Hao. Therefore, after thinking of a very possible matter, he asked, "You can say so. Thank you, fellow cultivators." Xia Yu cupped her fists and said, looking very anxious to leave, "Let's go." Helian Wuzi's eyes shone with a cold light as she said, Tantalian's aura also surged slightly. "Wait a moment. We happen to see some things on our way here. Perhaps you might be able to learn more about them. If they are Chun Hao's enemies, we won't say anything. However, if they are his friends, I believe that they might be of use to you." Thank you very much." "You're welcome. Do you know Chun Hao's partners, Chun Xiaobai, Long Ting, and the sisters?" "Of course we know them. What happened to them?" "When we left that city, we happened to see a few people. Although they changed their appearance and aura, we guessed that it should be them. They're in the city. You should be able to find them if you go and look for them. Their strength is also very strong, but they are still unable to fight against heaven immortals. I think Chun Hao must have asked them to leave so that they would not be affected by the battle." Xia Yu once again expressed her thanks and warned the other party not to divulge any information about them. She then quickly walked into the city, her powerful perception extending outwards. "Gotta slaughter Chun Hao is really strong, yes. 1 Pan Long, 2 mysterious partners, and 1 Du Jing. The auras of these 3 girls are also very strong. Moreover, they have other opportunities to step into heaven immortal. Perhaps they are even stronger than we thought. That's for sure. Didn't they sense the fluctuations in their auras when the captain mentioned that Chun Hao was being attacked? I feel that they could kill us in seconds. Well, it's a pity that those bastards from the Lanhai sect also went over. Otherwise, we would also be able to see a real peak duel. Let's not discuss this matter, and we can't leak any information. I have a feeling that the god of slaughter is an ambitious and ruthless person. He is only at the medium stage of Earth Immortal, but he can fight against the 4 wild dragons who have stepped into Heaven Immortal. If he is given time to step into Heaven Immortal, I am afraid that he will become an invincible Heaven Immortal. Understood. If it is unfavorable to the god of slaughter, we will naturally not say anything." After Helian Wuzi and the other 2 left, several cultivators whispered to each other. When they first heard Xia Yu's question, the reason why they warned the 3 of them not to provoke the god of slaughter was not entirely for the 3 of them. To be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 757. The main reason was that they did not want any more Sky Immortals to deal with Chun Hao, because there were also people who had benefited from Chun Hao. Without Chun Hao, they might have died at the hands of the alien races. When Du Jing had glorified Chun Hao is a human hero. He had won the support of so many people. Naturally, it was impossible for so many people to respond to his words. In fact, Chun Hao had indeed indirectly saved the lives of many human cultivators. Hiss, hiss. Half a month later, in the 9th hex, all the palaces in the forbidden areas and cities suddenly shone with dazzling and mysterious light. All the palaces resonated, and heaven and earth trembled. The core area is about to open. The 9 seals of immortality are finally going to be broken. When we step into the real core area, there will be more powerful inheritances, dharma treasures, and ultimate techniques waiting for us. Ha ha! Cultivators from the 10 galaxies will gather. It will be a bloodbath. We have to be extra careful. At this moment, all the cultivators who had stepped into the 9 seals of immortality stood up in shock. They felt the terrifying and mysterious tremors of heaven and earth. Some were excited, and some were cautious. Humans, god of slaughter, and those sky immortals, humph. Your good days are over. The core of the Tao manifestation, immortal fruit, will be mine. Keek. I will kill you one by one. A wisp of black smoke floated out of a narrow crack in the ground and turned into a hideous phantom clan elite. This was a barren mountain only 10,000 miles away from the city where Chun Hao was. His name was Liu Yuming, and he was one of the top 10 elites of the Phantom Clan. He had been killed by Chun Hao. Like the 4 wild dragons, he had been resurrected with a powerful protective amulet given by his sect. Hiss! Suddenly, the figure turned into a wisp of green smoke again and silently fled into the distance. Let's go. Let's go. It's finally going to disappear. Ha ha! Bang! 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 Hu Mainyang, the 4 wild dragons, and many other experts of the Heaven Immortal realm pushed their speed to the extreme at this moment. They were extremely excited, and each of them wished they could crush Chun Hao and the others to death. They rushed toward the city at their fastest speed. Dozens of people unleashed their berserk auras at the same time, soaring up into the sky. It was extremely terrifying. Chun Hao, prepare to die. The 4 berserk dragons took the lead, releasing a strong, killing intent. Hu Mainyang's seductive face revealed a rare coldness. Die. Chun Hao, Pan Long, and the others had to die. She, Hu Mainyang, was born with an innate Tao embryo. She had inherited the Mortal Heart Sutra from the founder of her sect. She was destined to become a woman who stood at the pinnacle of the human race. No one could humiliate her, and no one could take away the treasure she wanted. Her long dress fluttered in the wind. Thousands of Daos cried out in unison, and her black hair fluttered. In the blink of an eye, she had pulled the 4 wild dragons behind her. Her graceful bearing was unparalleled, and her speed was astonishing to the extreme. Rumble, roar! In the core palace, Pan Long, who was sitting cross-legged, suddenly stood up and roared into the sky. After nearly 2 months of all-out cultivation, his physical body released an even more terrifying aura. His mountain-like body was shrouded in light, and he looked like a beast god. His knotted muscles were filled with an endless, wild aura. His roar was like thunder. It caused the core palace, which was already trembling, to shake violently. Big guy, you've become a lot stronger. Hiss! Chunling and Liang were in high spirits. They were as light as the wind and floated near Pan Long. Are you confident that you can break through to the sky immortal realm? Pan Long's thunderous voice rang out. Of course. Liang smiled like a weak scholar, but the space between his eyebrows was overflowing with light. They're all freaks. Du Jing appeared immediately. Poisonous insects danced around him, but he didn't show any excitement when he sensed the aura of the 3 people. Du Jing, it's not that I want to criticize you, but the art of poison is an unorthodox path after all. Don't. Brother Pan Long, this is my Tao. My Poison King Valley's ancestral master is the pinnacle of the human race. Who dares to offend him? I, Du Jing, will one day restore Poison King Valley to the era of our ancestral master. With one command, all the top sects will be as silent as cicadas in winter. Du Jing said, unconvinced. Senior brother? Still not coming out? It's about time. Pan Long looked in Chun Hao's direction and said, haven't I already come out? Chun Hao's ethereal voice suddenly sounded in Pan Long's ears. Pan Long was shocked. Chun Ling, Liang, and Du Jing were equally shocked because Chun Hao's voice was right next to their ears. However, none of the four could sense Chun Hao's aura. Big brother, you are hiding? What do you think? Chun Hao's figure slowly appeared, and his peerlessly handsome face carried a wisp of a smile. How is this possible? Big brother, the 9 restrictions haven't disappeared. How can you hide from us? Could it be that Big Brother's soul-healing art has broken through to the 3rd realm? Liang said in shock. That's not it. The soul-healing art is really complicated. I've used up all the soul-refining pills in the past 2 months, and I've only just broken through to the 2nd realm. However, with this thing, I can more or less use the concealment effect of the 3rd realm. Chun Hao stretched out his hand and gazed at a simple and unadorned ring. Looks like the effect is not bad. Form-changing ring? Liang said in surprise. You recognize it? Chun Hao asked Liang. He had obtained this ring after stripping the Son of Destiny, Lan Feng, naked. Originally, Chun Hao had only roughly examined its function and put away. He had no intention of using it at all. However, this time, under the threat of the enemy being stronger than him, he took it out again and refined it. Using its concealment ability, it should be helpful for him to blend into the world. Now, Chun Hao is only using the concealment ability of the soul-healing art to combine with it. He didn't expect the effect to be so good that even Li Yang and Chun Ling, who had powerful spiritual platforms, were fooled. Of course I know it. In the notes left behind by Master, it was recorded that even Master wanted to obtain the form-changing ring. It can't be, right? Your Master is an ultimate almighty, and this form-changing ring is only a sage-level concealment Dharma treasure. Chun Hao said in surprise. Big brother, you don't know, but this form-changing ring is indeed a sage-level artifact, and it's only a low-grade one. However, this is its lowest form. What do you mean? It's an extremely rare treasure that can evolve and grow on its own. Every time it changes owners, it will revert to its lowest form. As the new owner's realm increases, it will grow on its own. If Big Brother wholeheartedly refines it, it will be more compatible with you, and the speed of its growth will increase. There's no doubt that it will grow into a supreme-grade, sage-level artifact. As long as Big Brother is strong enough, it won't be a problem for it to become a supreme treasure that surpasses the sage-level artifact. What realm will its final form reach? Even my master is very curious. It's actually that strong? Hearing Li Yang's words, Chun Hao was shocked. He was even more amazed by the awesomeness of the Son of Destiny, Lan Feng. Its value was probably no less than the Tao Manifestation Immortal Fruit Core, right? To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come a Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 758. Big Brother, where did you get it? This is the same as the Tao Manifestation Immortal Fruit. It was given to me by a son of Providence. Chun Hao rubbed his chin and smiled wickedly. As he spoke, he muttered in his heart, "It seems like I haven't met a son of Providence for a long time." Achoo! In the wilderness, Lan Feng, who was rushing towards a city with an excited expression, suddenly sneezed. Damn it! Who's talking about me? Lan Feng shuddered and stopped. He looked around to make sure that there were no other cultivators around. Then he calmed down. There won't be a problem this time, right? Damn it! Isn't it just a sneeze? Lan Feng, am being so suspicious. This time, Chun Hao is dead for sure. Although I can't do it myself. I have to watch him die at the hands of whom Mainyang and the 4 berserk dragons. And that old man, damn it, he's most likely Chun Hao. Back then, I foolishly thanked him for giving me such a good fortune. That golden spear is clearly the weapon of the spirit race elite who hunted me down. You're dead for sure. Dead for sure. Shameless bastard. Lan Feng gnashed his teeth and growled. In the past 2 years, he had become a frightened bird. Coincidentally, he would always run into Chun Hao. Fortunately, he was careful and could avoid him every time. However, he also realized that Chun Hao, who had earned the title of Killing God, was using the same golden spear as the weapon of the Spectre tribe expert who had chased after him back then, only to be instantly killed by the shameless old man. Thinking back to the shameless old man who had stripped him naked and left him a message, Lan Feng was so enraged that he vomited blood. Now that he finally had the chance to see Chun Hao being killed, how could he miss it? In the city where Chun Hao was, cultivators were densely packed. Bathed in the dazzling light of the myriad palace, they stared at the city gate and into the distance and discussed excitedly. Today, there was bound to be an earth-shattering battle. Moreover, it was a showdown between the most talented disciples of the human race. There were even more cultivators at the core of the palace. It was to the point that they were practically standing on top of each other. Those with weaker cultivations did not even have the right to get close. Normally, it takes an hour for a palace in a city to release its aura until it disappears. This time should be no exception. Hu Meinyang, the 4 mad dragons, and the others should be arriving soon, right? Of course, Azura Chun Hao, Coiling Dragon, and the others should be coming out soon. I really want to know what realm the god of slaughter Chun Hao can break through to. It's unlikely that he'll advance to the heavenly immortal stage. If he didn't have the confidence to advance into the heavenly immortal realm, then how could he dare to wait here? Isn't that courting death? This is indeed strange. Perhaps he has something else to rely on? Stop guessing. Like I said, it's my personality. Ever since the killing god became famous, have you ever heard of him backing down? He slaughtered his way without fear. But this time, he's probably really underestimated the true might of the heavenly immortal realm. Rumble. Suddenly, the door of the core of the palace that was shaking opened with a rumble, interrupting everyone's discussion. Countless gazes immediately gathered on it. Bang, bang, bang. The heavy footsteps were accompanied by an ancient divine beast's aura, causing everyone to hold their breaths. Bitch, for reptiles, you still don't dare to show up? The moment Coiling Dragon stepped out of the palace door, he raised his head to look at the sky. His wild voice rumbled like thunder, causing the thousands of palaces that were already shaking violently to buzz. Many cultivators covered their ears in fright. So powerful, too powerful. Coiling Dragon's aura is much more terrifying than 2 months ago. His realm did not increase, but his strength increased by so much. I really don't know what kind of inheritance he obtained. It's too terrifying. Countless exclamations came from the crowd. He's Coiling Dragon. What do you think? It's indeed the inheritance of an extreme supreme beast god. How he actually gave it up. He's really powerful. Chun Ling and Li Yang should be the inheritors of an extreme supreme spiritual god. I really didn't expect that these 2 extreme supreme sacred masters would choose to leave their inheritances in the 9 seals of immortal sealing. In the crowd, a few figures who had concealed their auras whispered, F*CKU Coiling Dragon, you still dare to be arrogant when you're about to die? We, the 4 berserk dragons, will kill you like killing dogs today. Rumble, 4 pillars of light shot into the sky, and the 4 berserk dragons leaped over from afar. Countless cultivators were forced to retreat, afraid that they would be shocked by the 4 berserk dragons. The aura of the 4 berserk dragons was no weaker than Coiling Dragons. I'll tear you into pieces. Hu Meinyang's ethereal but bone-chilling voice sounded. Her long dress fluttered, and Dao laws swirled around her as she walked over leisurely. If it were not for the boundless anger on her face that affected her image, countless cultivators would have bowed down to her. Behind her, there were close to 30 heavenly immortal experts. Each of them looked excited and condescending. However, Hu Meinyang did not deliberately release her aura, and it completely covered their auras. When she got close to the 4 berserk dragons, even the aura of the 4 berserk dragons automatically avoided her. The innate Taoist embryo is really powerful. It's said that the innate Taoist embryo usually suppresses the advancement of one's realm. The more solid it is, the stronger one's future combat strength will be. However, people with this kind of constitution can advance much faster than us if they want to. It's also because of this that people with this kind of constitution are heaven-defying existences who become stronger when they meet strong opponents. This time, it looks like Main-Yang has made up her mind. She didn't even experience the early stage of the heavenly immortal stage and forcefully advanced to the peak early stage of the heavenly immortal stage. I'm afraid she'll directly step into the intermediate stage later, and it's very likely that she'll trigger a heavenly punishment of a small realm. Yes, when she stepped into the heavenly immortal stage last time, the heavenly punishment she triggered was extremely terrifying. Before Main-Yang entered the primitive mystic realm, the people she met were all the top heavenly immortal experts of the sacred temple. She must have accumulated a lot. The crowd discussed in shock. Even the four berserk dragons frowned slightly at this time and looked at Main-Yang with a trace of surprise. Clearly, Main-Yang's strength had exceeded their expectations. This bitch's aura has increased by so much. Seeing this scene, Coiling Dragon's wild and ferocious eyes suddenly shrank. Compared to 2 months ago, Main-Yang had become much more powerful. This was completely beyond Coiling Dragon's expectations. Hiss! 2 waves appeared, and Chun-Ling and Li-Yang suddenly appeared beside Coiling Dragon. Oppressive immortal chi streaked across the sky, and their sparkling eyes directly locked onto Main-Yang in the distance. Their expressions also became serious. To be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to Conceited. Come to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 759. Then, Du Jing, who is surrounded by poisonous insects, also appeared. How arrogant! Chen Hao, you dare to stay here, but don't dare to come out? Do you want to use the palace to protect us? Ha! 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 The medium stage of the Earth's celestial stage, I really want to know why you dare to wait here. Come out and die. Wan Long, the leader of the 4 mad dragons, still didn't see Chen Hao come out, so he said arrogantly, Rumble. As he spoke, the 4 of them suddenly performed the 4 elephants unite into one. Kill! Main-Yang waved her hand and ordered. At this moment, she could clearly feel that the violently shaking palace was about to disappear. Taking advantage of this moment was the best time for them to attack. Perhaps they would be able to kill them before they attracted the heavenly punishment. That would undoubtedly save the most effort. Chi! Bang! Ah! Just as Main-Yang uttered the word kill, a shrill and horrified scream suddenly came from behind her, accompanied by an incomparably fierce and murderous aura that overflowed to the heavens. What? Countless people widened their eyes in horror. An expert of the heaven immortal realm, who was following behind Main-Yang, did not have time to summon all his strength when the back of his head was pierced by a golden spear. He could clearly see the bloody spear sticking out from between his eyebrows. He only had time to let out a scream before everything went black and his soul was destroyed. His head exploded like a watermelon. Chi, chi, chi. Ah, ah. As the spear radiance flashed, screams came one after another. No one had expected that Chen Hao could rush behind an expert at the heaven celestial stage without anyone noticing. With Chen Hao's speed, murderous aura, strength, spear technique, and sudden attack, these guys didn't have time to react. The first person was killed instantly. The other 3 who were next to the first person didn't have time to react. They followed the first person to meet the king of hell. No, they were destroyed in body and soul and would never exist again. Despicable and shameless. Chi! Main-Yang turned around and stabbed with her sword. The void suddenly broke open and violently attacked Chen Hao. Kill his mother. Pan Long roared angrily. Chun-Ling and Li-Yang combined their swords and rushed toward Main-Yang like lightning. Du Jing and tens of thousands of insects flew across the sky. Heavenly Dragon Domain. The 4 berserk dragons roared angrily and attacked the Coiling Dragon. Rumble. The terrifying battle broke out once again. Spear radiance, sword radiance, palm shadows, and Fist Mountains directly broke the void. The surrounding cultivators retreated frantically. After the killing god, Chun Hao had killed 4 people in a second. His head and tail were nowhere to be seen. As if he was hidden in the void, he avoided Yang and transformed into the world's most powerful assassin. With a flash of a spear, his silhouette appeared and disappeared. This caused more than 20 cultivators to scatter in panic. Their figures moved as fast as lightning, fearing that they would be killed by Chun Hao's unpredictable attacks. They didn't dare to stay for even a moment. Their whole bodies' strength and perception were crazily stimulated. All of you, step back and avoid the brunt of the attack. In just a few more breaths of time, the 9 seals of Immortal Sealing will disappear. After suppressing Chun Hao and Liang, Yang was able to handle the situation with ease. She looked at the cultivators who were scattered like birds and beasts and reminded them coldly. Chi. Because of Chun Hao's sudden attack, the battle erupted too suddenly. Not only was Yang and the others caught off guard, but they also didn't expect Chun Hao's concealment skills to be so terrifying. Even a few figures hiding in the crowd and concealing their auras didn't expect this. However, after sensing Yang's terrifying aura, the 3 figures who originally wanted to deal a fatal blow to the opponent at the critical moment chose to attack decisively. Boom! Round after round of cold moons suddenly broke through the sky one after another. Accompanied by a beautiful and graceful figure, she leaped over the crowd and slashed out with her sword. Hellion Woozy had appeared. Boom! Caw! Caw! Like a scorching sun rising in the sky, the temperature of the world suddenly soared at a shocking speed. Amidst the raging flames, accompanied by the strange cries of phoenixes, Tantai Lien stepped on a 9-leaf immortal lotus formed by flames and cut through the sky. Buzz! Boom! Crystal radiance shone like a white jade crystal blooming. Amidst the brilliant sword radiance, Xia Yuyu stepped on the air. Chun Hao, who was in the midst of the attack, immediately cracked open his mouth. Amidst the flickering spear radiance, he looked at the 3 beautiful figures of the divine soldiers and heavenly generals and couldn't be any more shocked. No matter what, he didn't expect the 3 women to arrive at this time. Even more so, he didn't expect their auras to be so terrifying. In particular, he didn't expect Tantai Lien to be nearby, but he only sensed the aura of the Phoenix inheritance now. Why are you here? Forget it. Let's kill first. Chun Hao couldn't help but ask. However, halfway through, he said directly, no matter how excited or surprised he was, now is not the time to reminisce. What's going on? How is this possible? Chun Hao and the others have powerful helpers? What a powerful aura! It's definitely not inferior to the 4 wild dragons. Heavens, why did such a terrifying expert suddenly appear? Buzz. Hiss. Hiss. It was also at this moment that the trembling group of palaces suddenly trembled at a terrifying speed. In an instant, the radiance reached the extreme. A mysterious and dense aura covered the sky and earth as it descended. Immediately, all the palaces disappeared. Amidst the screams, the heaven celestial expert who was about to die at the hands of the 3 powerful girls suddenly became excited at this moment. A kind of shackle on his body and soul disappeared with the disappearance of the palaces. In an instant, like a hidden dragon emerging from the sea, hundreds of birds flying out of the cage, endless power surged and surged. Heaven celestial, the real power of a heaven celestial rose. Let's see how you're going to kill me. Die. Now who can kill me? Boom. Boom. At this moment, countless onlooking cultivators turned into streaks of flowing light and flew madly toward the core. The Forbidden City had already disappeared. It had become the real core of the barren mountains and mountains. Not even a trace of a city was left. Only the cultivators who were still here proved that this was once the city of the 9th seal. These onlooking cultivators had also recovered their magical powers. The first thing they did was to rush thousands of miles away. Without the restriction of the 9 seals of immortality, the safe distance to watch the battle increased by thousands of times. If they got any closer, those with lower cultivations might become the fish in the pond that would be implicated. Chaotic celestial light. Hellfire prairie fire. Jade crystal bloom. Die. The 3 girls shouted the word die in one. The 3 heaven celestial experts who were locked in a life and death situation but suddenly possessed the real power of a heaven celestial suddenly stopped laughing. Hellion Woozy's chaotic celestial light turned one of them into air and returned to chaos. Tantile Yin's hellfire burned another person into ashes. Xia Yuyu released her jade crystal divine power and slashed her opponent into 2 halves, turning him into minced meat. Cough. Cough. This chapter was sent wrongly. I've revised it. It's done. To be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 760. Author's note. I'm going to faint. I said there were 5 chapters, but there were only 4. It turns out that Wuxian was being stupid. Now the content of the 4th chapter has been changed. The original 5th chapter should be the current one. Xiao Wu, stop Hu Meinyang for a moment. Xiao Yin, you stop the 4 wild dragons. Chun Hao's voice came from afar. With the disappearance of the 9 celestial seals, he was only at the medium stage of the Earth's celestial stage and couldn't compete with a real celestial being. When the palace shook violently, he hid himself and ran away quickly. He activated his essence, qi, and spirit to the extreme. Chunling and Liang also attacked crazily and retreated quickly toward Chun Hao. At the same time, they activated their essence, qi, and spirit. Coiled Dragon was the most ferocious. He knew that the 4 wild dragons could increase his power several times, but he didn't retreat first. Instead, he activated his essence, qi, and spirit to trigger the divine punishment. Then he started to retreat toward Chun Hao. Humph, can you stop me? Qi. Hu Meinyang was like a fairy from the 9th heaven. The recovery of the divine sense made her power soar many times. What was more shocking was that she activated her essence, qi, and spirit and rushed toward the sky. Qi. Hu Meinyang swung her sword toward Hellion Woozy. Rumble. The continuous moonlight and the sword light met, and an extremely horrible aura burst out. A huge black crack appeared in the void. Today, you all have to die. So what if there are 3 more experts? Without the suppression of the 9 celestial seals, no one in the same stage can defeat me. Moreover, I want to reach the medium stage of the heaven celestial stage. Those who stop me will die. Hu Meinyang's power was awe-inspiring, and Hellion Woozy frowned slightly. No one expected that Hu Meinyang, who had a natural Taoist embryo, had such horrible power. Before, Hellion Woozy had absolute confidence that she could kill this woman who forced Chun how to kill her. But now, Hellion Woozy knew that it was impossible for her, who had just reached the initial stage of the Heaven Celestial stage, to kill Hu Meinyang, who was at the peak of the initial stage of the Heaven Celestial stage and was about to reach the medium stage. Moreover, her essence, qi, and spirit had triggered the divine punishment of a small stage. This was an extremely heaven-defying existence. Merge. Rumble. At this moment, the 4 berserk dragons activated their divine abilities and laws. In an instant, the 4 of them completed the true unification of the 4 beasts. You think the 2 of you can stop the 4 berserk dragons? Kill. Rumble. Crack. The combination of the heaven-defying 4 symbols once again triggered the heavenly punishment. Unlike the breakthrough of a cultivator, the area of the heavenly punishment triggered by the 4 berserk dragons was extremely small, and the time it took to gather was also very short. The 4 berserk dragons were like monsters as they charged towards Tantai Lien and Xia Yuyu, who were blocking them. Elementary karmic fire burned fiercely. The power of the crystal jade body was fully activated. Contrary to the expectations of the 4 berserk dragons and everyone else, The four berserk dragons who had truly fused into one were actually unable to suppress Tantai, Lien, and Xiaoyu. The terrifying aura of the karmic fire made the four berserk dragons, who had truly merged the four symbols as one, not dare to recklessly face it head-on. Although the combination of Xiaoyu's jade crystal and the power of her own sword Dao was much weaker than the four symbols as one, when combined with the karmic fire, she could unleash an even greater battle prowess. Mother of Asterisk Kerr, that bitch who Mainyang is actually so powerful. Senior brother, what should we do? Even if I become a heavenly immortal, I'm afraid it'll be hard for me to resist her current aura. Your friend is really strong to actually be able to stop her for a while, but it won't be for long. A rare solemn look appeared in the wild eyes of the coiling dragon. Big brother, she's really very strong. Senior brother and I were completely suppressed by her even when we joined forces. The innate Dao embryo is really terrifying. I didn't expect her to improve so quickly. Du Jing is also in danger. Chun Ling frantically activated her essence, energy, and spirit as she spoke. At this moment, Du Jing, who was already a heavenly immortal, was controlling the poisonous insects to fight against several heavenly immortal experts. The situation was also very precarious. Man proposes, God disposes. This time, we really took too much of a risk. This woman hid too deeply. I underestimated her, Chun Hao said with a solemn expression. He was very clear that if it weren't for the arrival of Helian Wuzi and the other two divine soldiers, they might not have been able to trigger the heavenly punishment. Now, even if they could trigger the heavenly punishment successfully, what would happen after that? He was only at the later stage of the Earth celestial stage. Coiling Dragon, Chun Ling, and Liang had already judged that they were no match for whom Mainyang even if they became heavenly immortals. I'm afraid the innate Dao embryo is more powerful than we thought. After saying this, Chen Hao suddenly looked in Du Jing's direction and shouted, Du Jing, run away on your own. Big brother, Du Jing, am not that kind of person. If we die together. At most, I'll go first. I'll wait for you, big brother. The corners of Du Jing's mouth were stained with blood, but his expression was crazy. He had never had a real friend, let alone a brother. However, after becoming Chun Hao's slave and being freed by Chun Hao and treated as his brother, he felt a brotherly affection that he had never tasted before. How could he not see the danger at this moment? But at this moment, he answered without any hesitation. There was only one thought in his mind, that was, if we die together. Although he knew it was a stupid thing to do, and it was not in line with the vicious nature of the disciples of the Poisonous King's Valley, he still wanted to be as stupid for once. If you don't leave, you will die. We won't die for sure. If you treat me as your big brother, get out of here immediately. Moreover, I'm leaving too. In this life or death situation, Chun Hao didn't hesitate anymore and almost scolded him angrily. But his words not only surprised Du Jing, but also Coiling Dragon, Chun Ling, Liang, and the women. What did he mean by leaving? As long as there is life, there is hope. If I die, remember to avenge me. If you die and I don't die, Chun Hao, will definitely take the heads of all of them. If we all die, I'll see you on the road to the netherworld. Senior brother, what do you mean? Big brother, what are you going to do? How, run away? Run away immediately. I can hold on. Helian Wuzi suddenly said. Although she didn't know what Chun Hao was going to do, she knew that Chun Hao would bear the consequences himself. This was her understanding of Chun Hao. We can hold on. Run quickly. Tantai Lien and Xiaoyu said at the same time, the aura around them instantly becoming more violent. Oomph. None of you can run away? You're just struggling at death's door. Hu Mainyang said disdainfully, forcing Helian Wuzi to retreat step by step. Although Chun Hao and the others were also retreating quickly, the distance between them was still closing. If Hu Mainyang was willing, she could use a forbidden move to force Helian Wuzi away. But to kill her, it was not something that could be done in one move. Therefore, she wasn't in a hurry. When her heavenly punishment descended and she stepped into the middle stage, she could easily kill everyone. She couldn't let anyone here go, especially the main culprit, Chun Hao, who had unlimited potential, and the young girl who was fighting with her now. Whether it was the young girl's appearance or strength, she was jealous. She believed that if the young girl was in the same realm as her, it would be hard to say who would win. Edited, to be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 761. No one is allowed to disobey my orders. No one is allowed to follow me. I won't die so easily. Chun Hao's voice was cold and arrogant. The core of the Tao manifestation celestial fruit is with me, and I have countless ancient magic treasures with me. I'm just at the medium stage of the earth celestial stage. When I become a heaven celestial, there will be no place for this *TCH in this world. The rest is up to you. Boom! Chun Hao's body suddenly surged with an extremely violent energy. His entire body turned into a stream of light. Accompanied by the fluctuations of the world, he quickly flew in a certain direction. Hu Mainyang will definitely come after me. You should be able to stop the 4 mad dragons and the heaven celestials. I have a way to escape. Don't worry. A strand of divine thought suddenly entered everyone's ears. Xiao Wu, don't follow me. Stay with Xiao Yin Yu and kill the 4 mad dragons. Don't let them escape. Everyone's eyes lit up. They had been suppressed in the 9 restrictions of the celestial sealing spell for so many years. They had forgotten that they had recovered and could send messages. Du Jing, run away quickly. Stay away for a while and come back after they have completed their divine punishment. Chen Hao said to Du Jing, who was in a critical situation. Senior brother, big brother, big brother. Everyone shouted. Want to run away? Dream on. For mad dragons, you don't have to chase after me. Kill them all before they go through their heavenly tribulations. Leave Chen Hao to me. I'll be back soon. Chi. Hu Mainyang waved her sword and forced Hellion Wuzi to retreat again. Then she turned into a ray of light and chased after Chun Hao at an amazing speed. She and Chun Hao had triggered their divine punishment. Although it had not been completed, the tribulation cloud in the void was following their footsteps and rolling forward. Chun Hao could not hide, even if he wanted to. Of course, Chun Hao did not want to hide at all. His purpose was simple. He wanted to use Hu Mainyang's desire to get the core of the Tao manifestation celestial fruit to lure her away and create an opportunity for Pan Long and the others. *CKU. Kill them? Easy for you to say. Hu Mainyang, that be *TCH, is really *TCH. *MN, she's gone. How can we stop them? Don't hesitate. Retreat first. Do you think you can leave? Although Hellion Wuzi knew that Chun Hao was very dangerous, she still chose to believe in Chun Hao. Although there was a huge gap between his cultivation level and Hu Mainyang's, escaping for his life might not be a difficult task for Chun Hao, especially since the speed that Chun Hao displayed just now was very fast. When the time came and Chun Hao took out the miniature flying machine, who could catch up to him? Therefore, without much hesitation, when Hu Mainyang left to chase after them, she immediately attacked the 4 wild dragons. However, Hellion Wuzi didn't know that Chun Hao didn't have a miniature aircraft on him right now. However, Chun Hao had something more powerful than a miniature aircraft. As for Pan Long, Chun Ling, and Liang, even when the 3 of them triggered the heavenly punishment, they could not be killed instantly by other heavenly immortal experts. It was enough to hold them back for a while. Once the heavenly punishment descended, the 3 of them were so heaven-defying that even the 4 wild dragons dared not approach them, let alone other heavenly immortals. Once they reached the heavenly immortal realm, it would be one-sided. It could be said that as long as Hu Mainyang left, they would have the upper hand. If we want to leave, who can stop us? Explode. Boom. The 4 wild dragons suddenly activated a golden talisman that bloomed with boundless pressure and threw it into the sky. In an instant, the boundless pressure combined with the thunderbolts triggered by the 4 of them and poured down. The space within a radius of 10,000 miles fluctuated terrifyingly, forcibly snatching away the spiritual chi of heaven and earth gathered by Pan Long and the other two. Supreme grade divine territory, talisman? Be careful, Liang suddenly shouted. Chi! At this moment, Hellion Wuzi suddenly rushed into the void. Her hands frantically formed talisman after talisman. A boundless and terrifying aura rose from between her eyebrows. Her long hair and white dress fluttered. Her cold little face shone with bone-chilling coldness. Her killing intent was like a knife. The rolling spiritual chi of heaven and earth was actually dispersed by Hellion Wuzi's violent aura and could not be condensed. Chaotic divine light. Come out. Boom. Crash. Following Hellion Wuzi's clear and cold shout, the runes formed by her hands actually entered the space between her eyebrows. In an instant, a terrifying crystal light blossomed from the space between her eyebrows while she was high up in the air. Soon after, as if the Milky Way had fallen from the ninth heaven, an endless and colorless brilliance poured down and enveloped the four wild dragons. Ninth heaven Milky Way, chaotic divine light. The colorless crystal light broke the five elements, went against heaven and earth, severed heaven's secrets, and messed up the void. Within the range, the Tao laws collapsed, and heaven and earth collapsed. The spiritual chi of heaven and earth gathered by the four wild dragons with the divine territory talisman was instantly annihilated and swallowed by the chaotic divine light. The ninth heaven Milky Way suddenly became bigger, and the colorless chaotic divine light shone even more brightly. Puff, 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 puff. The four wild dragons, who were like a monstrous body, were instantly drowned by the endless chaotic divine light. There was no suspense at all as they spat out blood at the same time and scattered in all directions. How is this possible? Impossible. Absolutely impossible. What kind of secret technique is this? No, what kind of magic treasure is this? The four wild dragons frantically resisted the chaotic divine light that almost annihilated them. Their hearts were filled with extreme fear. Evil slaying hellfire. Jade crystal kill. Boom. Chi. Amidst their shock, Tantai Lien and Xia Yu suddenly activated all the strength in their bodies and condensed an extremely powerful attack toward the four wild dragons, who were shrouded by the endless chaotic divine light. Rumble, the chaotic divine light, the raging hellfire, and the brilliant sword light superimposed on each other, causing heaven and earth to change color and the sun and moon to dim. Almost in an instant, the four wild dragons' mournful and unwilling screams were annihilated by the terrifying energy explosion. The four wild dragons, who had lost the four divine light, had fallen. Run. Split up and run. Boom. Boom. The nearly 30-plus experts of the Heaven Immortal realm had never imagined that the insufferably arrogant four wild dragons would perish so quickly. Even though they had already surrounded Pan Long, Chun Ling, and Li Yang, who were drawing down the heavenly tribulation, they knew that it was absolutely impossible to kill the three of them with one or two moves. Moreover, the three women who were free would become the reapers of their lives. Fleeing, they could only flee in all directions as quickly as possible. CKU. You still want to run away? Pan Long roared as he chased after them with his huge axe. Humph. No one can run away. Senior brother, let's split up and chase after them. Chi. 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 Pan Long, Chun Ling, Li Yang, and the pale-faced Tantai Lien and Xia Yu, who still had the ability to fight, split up in 5 different directions and chased after them. Crack! Chun Ling's heavenly punishment descended first. Thunder rumbled and instantly enveloped an area of several thousand miles. Sister-in-law Xiaoyan, sister-in-law Yu, stop chasing them. They can't run away. Hurry up and take sister-in-law Xiaoyan and leave this place. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 762. The terrifying heavenly punishment descended. Even Tantai Lien and Xia Yu didn't dare to lower their guard at this moment. Just now, They had used a huge amount of energy to annihilate the 4 wild dragons, especially Hellion Woozy, who had even used a taboo technique and brought out the terrifying Ninth Heaven Silver River. She had already weakly collapsed onto the ground. So, when they heard Qinling's words, they immediately turned around and rushed to Hellion Woozy. They lifted her up and flew away. Crack! Rumble! Chun Yang's heavenly punishment finally fell from the sky. Then Pan Long's heavenly punishment exploded. Everyone's heavenly punishment covered thousands of miles. The 3 of them took the heavenly punishment and chased after the escaping cultivators. At this moment, they didn't even need to attack. The heavenly punishment's aura made nearly 30 heaven celestial stage experts feel great pressure, and their speed decreased sharply. The cultivators who were watching from afar were all dumbfounded. They ran away crazily. The heavenly punishment of the 3 of them was really heaven-defying. Once they entered the area covered by the heavenly punishment, those heaven celestial stage experts would be killed, let alone them, who dared to stay where they were. Borrowing the power of the heavenly punishment to kill these cultivators. Such a crazy move was rarely seen in the world. It was rare since ancient times. Firstly, the heavenly tribulation itself was an existence that was difficult for cultivators to endure. Secondly, when the heavenly tribulation was triggered, it was undoubtedly the best time to temper one's body. Sensing the laws of the heavenly Tao and tempering one's body was the most important thing. No one would waste their energy on other things. But Pan Long, Chun Ling, and Li Yang would rather sacrifice the heavenly punishment to temper themselves than let anyone go. Crack, rumble, shrill, and unwilling screams could be heard from 3 different directions. Under the terrifying 9 heavens' divine thunder, the bodies of the heaven celestial stage experts were destroyed and their souls shattered. Pan Long, Chun Ling, and Liang also endured the more terrifying lightning. But Pan Long's body was unshakable. His soul, which had almost merged with his body, also withstood the first heavenly punishment easily. Chun Ling and Liang both had celestial spiritual bodies and were extremely powerful. As for their souls, needless to say, it was also easy. What they had to do was to use their fastest speed to get close to their enemies. How terrifying! I don't even need to do anything. After fleeing for a distance, no one chased after Du Jing. He had stopped a long time ago. At this moment, he stood in the void and stared at the extremely terrifying divine punishments in 3 directions. He also heard the shrill screams of the heaven immortal experts when they were on the verge of death. He was shocked, but more than that, he was excited. A stream of light flashed past. Tantai Lian and Xia Yuyu supported the pale-faced Hellion Woozy. Under the shocked gazes of countless people, they flew to the front of several figures flying towards them. How is Xiao Wu? Let me help you. Chun Shui caught Hellion Woozy and immediately channeled her energy into Hellion Woozy's body. At the same time, everyone landed on a mountain peak. Tantai Lian and Xia Yuyu, who were also extremely weak, immediately sat up cross-legged. Crack, rumble, the 3 regions were filled with thunder and lightning. This continued for an entire 10 minutes, yet there weren't any more shrill cries. Even though they were too far away and couldn't really see it, everyone knew that none of the 30 heavenly celestial stage experts had escaped. It was also at this moment that 2 of the weaker divine punishments quickly merged together. Not long after, the 2 divine punishments merged into one. In an instant, an even more terrifying divine punishment descended. Chun Ling and Li Yang combined. This was their real divine punishments. Even the coiling dragon was defeated. No one knew that millions of miles away, endless tribulation clouds were gathering in the sky. The same terrifying divine punishments caused the surrounding cultivators to avoid them. No matter if it was the human race or the other races, no one dared to get close. Come on, my dear divine punishments. When I succeed, it will be the time for Lu Yuming to become famous in the 10 major galaxies. The Tao manifestation immortal fruit core is mine. Hu Mainyang of the vast universe galaxy is also mine. I, Lu Yuming, will become the nightmare of all the alien race experts. Haha. Lu Yuming, one of the top 10 experts of the Phantom Clan, stared at the terrifying tribulation clouds with disdain. He did not care about the divine punishments that were about to arrive. He, who had been well prepared and had a great opportunity, was full of ambition for his future. Just as he was laughing sinisterly, he suddenly sensed two weak waves of heaven and earth coming from afar. Such weak divine punishments. How dare you attract them near me? And two, what? They're approaching quickly? Their speed is amazing. But they're courting death. Ha! Come on. Let my divine punishments blast you to smithereens. Boom! Lu Yuming, the Phantom Clan expert, suddenly raised his aura again. His figure flashed, and he charged toward the person who dared to challenge his divine punishments. Good timing. Crack! As the terrifying thunder crashed down, Chun Hao didn't seem to be affected at all. He focused all of his strength and mind on increasing his flying speed. Less than 100 miles behind him, there was a streak of light that wasn't any slower than Chun Hao. It was also enduring the terrifying heavenly punishment, but it didn't seem to care at all. This person was, of course, the abnormally powerful Hu Mainyang. You want to use other people's divine punishments to deal with me? You're dreaming. Hu Mainyang shouted coldly. She, who had attracted thousands of heavenly Daos, naturally sensed the terrifying waves of divine punishments in the distance. This must be the great divine punishments of an Earth celestial stage cultivator who had stepped into the heaven celestial stage. Moreover, it was triggered by a rare genius. At this moment, it was indeed several times more powerful than her and Chun Hao's divine punishments. However, such divine punishments were not much of a threat to her. What was there to fear? Why do I need other people's divine punishments to deal with you? If you have the ability, catch up with me. 100 miles is so close, yet so far. Ha ha ha, be *tch. Chun Hao said, laughing wildly. At this moment, although Chun Hao was only at the medium stage of the Earth celestial stage, the perfect combination of his abnormal soul and body made his speed comparable to that of Hu Mainyang, who was at the peak of the initial stage of the heaven celestial stage. In a short time, Hu Mainyang would not be able to catch up with him. Even if Hu Mainyang completed her divine punishments and stepped into the medium stage of the heaven celestial stage, Chun Hao is absolutely confident that he could get rid of her completely. But now he would not do that. His purpose was to lure away Hu Mainyang, who had the most powerful combat capability. How could he let her get away? I will tear you to shreds. I'd like to see how long you can laugh. This is already the 5th level of divine punishments. After 4 more levels, I will step into the medium stage of the heaven celestial stage. Then you can't escape. If I wanted to escape, I would have left you far behind, be *tch. Let me tell you, I'm just luring you away. The 4 furious dragons and those idiots who are following you may be finished now. Ha ha ha. If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 763. You think I'll believe you? Why would I care about the lives of those people? Idiot. No matter what you say now, it's useless. What I want is to kill you and get the Dao manifestation fruit and all the treasures. Hu Mainyang said coldly. At this moment, there were no onlookers around. She no longer concealed her viciousness. The more Chun Hao tempted her to give up the chase, the more she believed that Chun Hao was at his wit's end. Moreover, as she said, she did not care about the lives of the 4 wild dragons and the group of heaven immortals. She already knew that there was not much hope in killing Pan Long and the rest. The best result was to die together with them. That way, she would not have to share the treasures with those heaven immortal experts in the future. In her opinion, this possibility was still very high. After all, although Hellion Woozy was strong, it would be difficult to kill the 4 wild dragons in a short time, even if she joined forces with Tantai Lien and Xia Yuyu. 30 heaven immortal experts besieged Pan Long, Chun Ling, and Liang. As long as they formed a joint attack, they would be able to kill the three of them in a short time. However, she did not know that although the four wild dragons were wild, they had no intention of risking their lives for her. When she left, they wanted to escape. If that was not the case, Hellion Woozy would not have used a forbidden power that was beyond her ability. Otherwise, if she delayed a little, Pan Long, Chun Ling, and Liang would really be in danger. However, when the four wild dragons wanted to escape, Hellion Woozy, who already knew that the four of them wanted to kill Chun Hao twice and force Chun Hao into a dangerous situation, hated them to the core. She did not hesitate to use the forbidden power and joined forces with Tantai Lian and Xia Yuyu to kill the four wild dragons in an instant. When the four wild dragons died, the nearly 30 Heaven Immortal experts were scared out of their wits. The joint attack that they formed with great difficulty collapsed instantly, and they frantically fled in all directions. What happened next was naturally simple. This was something that Yang and Chun Hao did not expect. Ruthless, is that so? Soon, you will know what it means to be even more ruthless. Yang's eyes shone with a strange light as she said coldly, "Gotta slaughter Chen Hao. Saintess Yang? They are both heaven's wrath. Very good, very good. The heavens are helping me. It's time for me, Lu Yuming, to prosper." Keek. When Lu Yuming saw Chun Hao and Yang in the distance, he suddenly showed a look of surprise. But soon, he was filled with boundless excitement and laughed sinisterly. Just in time. Come down. Crack. Rumble. Rolling heavenly thunder fell from the sky. Lu Yuming suddenly accelerated and rushed toward Chun Hao and Yang. He was very confident in his heaven-defying divine punishment. In his opinion, as long as he got close to the two of them, he would be able to kill Yang and Chun Hao. This was absolutely a great fortune for him. Originally, after he stepped into the celestial immortal stage, he would have a chance to kill a top expert like Yang by relying on the innate concealment divine ability of the Ghost Clan and his own powerful assassination skills. As for the god of killing, Chun Hao, although he was not afraid of him because of his stage, he also knew that Chun Hao had several experts by his side. But now, he was able to take down the two of them effortlessly. He had obtained the Tao Manifestation Immortal Fruit Core and Yang, who had made thousands of geniuses of the human race submit to him. How could he not be excited? An expert of the Ghost Clan? When Chun Hao saw the ferocious appearance of the rolling heavenly thunder, he immediately showed a smile. This way, there would be no burden in his heart. If it were a human cultivator, it would be a little unkind of him to disturb him while he was triggering divine punishment. But for an alien, it was natural to kill him, not to mention disturb him. Chun Hao suddenly sped up and rushed toward Lu Yoming's divine punishment field. Crack, crack, rumble. Chun Hao's divine punishment of a small stage suddenly overlapped with Lu Yoming's terrifying divine punishment and violently bombarded Chun Hao. What a powerful divine punishment! Feeling the terrifying power and pressure from the thunder, Chun Hao suddenly and violently activated his essence, qi, and spirit. Instead of slowing down, he approached Lu Yuming at an even faster speed. The closer he was to Lu Yuming, the stronger the divine punishment would be. Just a last-ditch struggle. Yang's eyes were cold, and her figure flashed. Facing the power of the double divine punishment, she was relentless and fearless. You're seeking your own death. You're underestimating me too much. When Lu Yuming saw that Chun Hao had stepped into his heavenly punishment domain, he actually dared to take the initiative to approach him. Lu Yuming didn't take his heavenly punishment seriously at all. Even if it was exactly what he wanted, it was still very unpleasant to be looked down upon like this. This is only my first heavenly punishment. I'd like to see to what extent you dare to approach me. But only a moment later, Lu Yoming's face changed. In the rolling heavenly thunder, Chun Hao and Yang were like madmen. They did not care about the terrifying pressure on their bodies and souls. In the blink of an eye, they had rushed to only a few hundred miles away from him. A few hundred miles was almost the core of his divine punishment. Even if it was not as strong as what he was enduring, it was not much weaker. Moreover, both of them were enduring their own divine punishment. It could be said that at this moment, the pressure they were enduring was definitely not less than his, but their speed was still as fast as lightning. How can they be so strong? No, I can't let them get any closer for the time being. Otherwise, I'll be in danger. Swish! Lu Yuming did not dare to delay. He suddenly turned sideways and rushed quickly. But as soon as Lu Yuming moved, Chen Hao also changed his direction immediately. Then, Hu Meinyang also changed her direction immediately. In an instant, Lu Yuming was in front, Chen Hao was in the middle, and Hu Meinyang was following behind. Accompanied by rolling heavenly thunder, they went into the depths of the divine punishment at an astonishing speed, thousands of miles in an instant. Lu Yuming's initial excitement had disappeared and was replaced by uneasiness and irritation. He had always been confident. Although he had seen the strength of Chen Hao and Hu Meinyang before, they were only on par with him. Even if Hu Meinyang had triggered a divine punishment of the medium stage of the heaven celestial stage, he did not take it to heart. He believed in his divine punishment. But now, the two of them looked relaxed, especially when they were enduring their own divine punishment. They were even more relaxed than him. It was not until now that he felt the danger. No, I can only speed up the divine punishment and enter the 9th level as soon as possible. Swish! Seeing that Chen Hao was getting closer and closer to him, although Lu Yuming was unwilling, he had to make a choice. He could only give up the training of resisting the divine punishment and let the more powerful 2nd level of divine punishment descend. Without much hesitation, he slashed at the tribulation cloud in the void above his head. Rumble! The brilliant sword light was incomparably sharp. The sword chi crisscrossed and broke the tribulation cloud in half. Swish! 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 Lu Yuming, who was flying at high speed, once again gathered the tribulation cloud above his head. An even more terrifying divine punishment poured down. In this period of time, when there was no divine punishment, Lu Yuming put all his effort into increasing his speed. Even so, Chen Hao was still approaching him little by little. To be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Dian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 764. Chen Hao, the god of slaughter, is only at the medium stage of the Earth's celestial stage. His physique, soul, and speed are so powerful. Hu Meinyang is much more powerful than before. Do they hide their strength? F***ck them. I thought it was an opportunity. I didn't expect it would put me in danger. I even had to give up the tempering of the heavenly punishment. Lu Yuming gnashed his teeth. Crack! Rumble! A moment later, Lu Yuming's 2nd heavenly punishment arrived. Hu Meinyang's 5th heavenly punishment was still ongoing. She was not anxious at all. In her opinion, everything was under her control. The heavenly punishment of a small stage was still a heavenly punishment. It was a heavenly punishment that targeted her own shortcomings. It was a rare opportunity for her to temper herself. She could totally resist the heavenly punishment and pursue Chen Hao at the same time. Chen Hao's minor heavenly punishment was the same as Hu Meinyang's. He was also in the 5th heavenly punishment. Humph! I don't believe you can hold on until the end. When my 9th heavenly punishment comes into contact with the heavenly punishment, I will be restored to the peak of the heaven's celestial stage in an instant. At that time, I will show you how powerful I am. Chi! Lu Yuming was very reluctant. However, after the 2nd heavenly punishment lasted for a moment, he slashed at the tribulation cloud again. The 3rd heavenly punishment, the 4th heavenly punishment, the 5th heavenly punishment, the heavenly punishment became more and more horrible. At this time, Lu Yuming, who was in great pain, became more and more frightened. I can't die like this. Break it for me. Chi! Lu Yuming endured the pain all over his body and slashed at the tribulation cloud again with all his strength. If he stopped and endured the heavenly punishment with all his strength, he could resist it easily. However, flying at such a high speed and the consumption of his strength to break the tribulation cloud was too much for him to bear. However, Chun Hao and Hu Mainyang, who were chasing him, were much slower. They were still in a better state than him. Moreover, they were getting closer. Crack! Like a purgatory of thunder, the seventh heavenly punishment finally reached a qualitative change. The majestic and horrible pressure and endless thunderbolts fell violently. Chi! 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 Rumble! 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 At this moment, Lu Yuming, who had triggered the great heavenly punishment, and Chun Hao and Hu Mainyang, who were chasing him, summoned all their strength to resist the seventh heavenly punishment. Has it finally stopped? Very good. Lu Yuming's eyes shone with a crystalline light. This time, he did not directly slash at the tribulation cloud. Instead, he activated just the right amount of power to resist the heavenly punishment's attack. At the same time, he frantically extracted the spiritual chi of heaven and earth to restore himself. Damn it. Could it be that this slut is still hiding her strength? Chun Hao urged his energy to resist the terrifying heavenly punishment. His heart was filled with shock. Originally, he had wanted to use Lu Yoming's terrifying heavenly punishment to see if he could find an opportunity to kill Hu Mainyang. But now, it seemed that his plan had been completely wasted. Regardless of whether it was her physical body or soul, Hu Mainyang was able to keep up with his footsteps under this terrifying heavenly punishment. Moreover, she didn't seem to be injured at all. At the fifth level, Chun Hao suspected that Hu Mainyang had not pushed her speed to the limit and had deliberately slowed down. After that, Hu Mainyang also slowed down and maintained a certain distance from him. But now, Chun Hao pretended that he could no longer move forward and stopped. Hu Mainyang also stopped. This was already very obvious. Hu Mainyang was definitely at ease. The reason why she did not chase after him was nothing more than to tease him and use Lu Yoming's heavenly punishment to temper herself. Fortunately, I still have a trump card. Otherwise, I would really die in the hands of this stinking B*TCH. Since you want to play with me, then I'll play with you. After confirming that he had guessed Hu Mainyang's intention, Chun Hao immediately bluffed and resisted the heavenly punishment. However, he channeled more of the heavenly punishment's power and pressure into his body to temper his physical body and soul. Moreover, he deliberately made his physical body show signs of cracking and charring. Hu Mainyang was even more direct. She actually began to resist the double heavenly punishment. Good. Very good. Gotta slaughter Chun Hao obviously can't take it anymore. Hu Mainyang wants to use my heavenly punishment to temper herself. I have to say, this woman is really strong, but in the end, she is still too confident. In that case, I have nothing to be afraid of. Seeing the situation of the two, Lu Yuming was completely relieved. God of Slaughter Chun Hao was no longer a threat. As for Hu Mainyang, since she had chosen to resist his heavenly punishment, then as long as she persevered until the heavenly punishment ended and was instantly restored to the peak of the heavenly immortal stage, he would have the absolute advantage. He believed that no matter how strong Hu Mainyang was, after withstanding his 9 heavenly punishments, she would be weakened to a certain extent. At that time, with the innate concealment ability of the spirit race, he was very confident that he could assassinate Hu Mainyang. Even if he could not, it would be easy for him to escape. Chi! Rumble! Lu Yuming also chose to resist the heavenly punishment directly. Even if he was severely injured, he did not care. After all, once the heavenly punishment ended, he would be a heavenly immortal, and in his peak state. Aren't you very strong? You're only at the 7th level, and you can't take it anymore? Don't worry, I promise I won't let you die under the heavenly punishment. After resisting the heavenly punishment, every inch of Hu Mainyang's exposed skin vaguely appeared with runes of Tao. It looked extremely shocking. What was even more shocking was that she could divert some of her attention to speak casually. Damn, what kind of monster is this woman? Chun Hao did not say a word. It seemed that the terrifying heavenly punishment had robbed him of the ability to speak. However, he was cursing in his heart. Chun Hao had never encountered such a shocking situation. He thought that he had seen through Hu Mainyang's strength time and time again, but he had miscalculated time and time again. She is not a monster. She is using the body of the connate Taoist fetus as a weapon. She is using the powerful runes to condense on her body, using her body as her natal magic treasure. Fortunately, she has only started to condense it after she stepped into the heavenly immortal stage and has not succeeded yet. If she had succeeded, all of you would have died in her hands. However, Old God's voice suddenly sounded in Chun Hao's mind. With the disappearance of the 9 seals of immortality, Old God could already appear. In these years, although he could not communicate with Chun Hao, Old God's strength had also risen. However, what? I'm afraid that she is not going to simply kill you. What do you mean? Oh no, there's a problem. Master, you have to be careful. Old God suddenly said in horror. After saying this, he completely disappeared from Chun Hao's perception. What's going on? Old God? Old God! Chun Hao immediately called out in his mind. However, there was no response from Old God. This made Chun Hao dumbfounded. Old God! F*CKU. Chun Hao had the urge to vomit blood. Was he F*King playing with him? One must know that he had always been calm and collected because he had Old God, his biggest trump card, which was more powerful than a miniature aircraft. But now, the Old God, who had always been reliable, had dropped the ball when he was facing a life-or-death crisis. This was going to kill him. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 765. Master, if you want to scold me, then so be it. I'm doing this for your own good. I've already said that I don't have a mother. Or rather, my mother is a man. I believe you can do it. Chun Hao didn't know that in the depths of his mind, the Old God, who had already taken human form, was laughing sinisterly. F*CK. I'm the only one who can be relied on. I don't believe that this bitch can kill me. Did the Old God intentionally let me be captured by this bitch? Chun Hao's eyes shone with a crystalline light, but he still didn't move. He was only desperately resisting the heavenly punishment. Chun Hao felt extremely strange that the Old God had suddenly dropped the ball. It was obvious that the Old God had done this on purpose. However, Chun Hao didn't know why. His intuition told him that it had something to do with the runes that had appeared on Hu Meinyang's body. However, Chun Hao couldn't figure out what the Old God couldn't tell him. Let's go. We'll chase after Big Brother. All right, that bitch Hu Meinyang really hit it well. Senior brother might be in danger. Wait, don't chase after them. At this moment, Tan Tai Lien, who had recovered a little, suddenly stopped them. Why? We're not in danger now. Chun Ling didn't understand. You won't be able to catch up. The entire space in the core area is constantly changing. Every blade of grass, every tree, every mountain, every rock has an ancient formation. Look around. Xia Yu explained. What's wrong with the surroundings? The wild coiling dragon looked around and asked in confusion. That's not right. There were so many cultivators watching before, but now there's no one within a radius of hundreds of thousands of miles. Chun Ling said in surprise. 10,000 miles of distance, changing every 10 minutes. There's no way to know where they've fled to. Even if we keep comprehending and deciphering the formation's mysteries, we won't be able to find them. They're chasing and fleeing, so it's impossible for them to distinguish their direction. Then what should we do? Liang frowned. Although he and Chun Ling were born in the 9 restrictions immortal ceiling area, their master didn't leave any records of the core area. There's no other way. I'm afraid that I'll only be able to see it after I've obtained all the ancient inheritances in the core area and opened a space-time gate to step out of this holy land for cultivation. I believe that Hao will be fine, Xia Yu said. When little Wu recovers, she will be able to bring you to the place of inheritance of the supreme expert. Crack, rumble, amidst the endless lightning. Chun Hao seemed to be extremely weak as he frantically resisted the terrifying heavenly punishment. Very good. You actually managed to persevere all the way to the 9th level. Hu Meinyang stared at Chun Hao with a hint of excitement in her voice. At this moment, The runes on her body had become even clearer after being tempered by the heavenly punishment. Damn, even a ninth level is so easy? Chen Hao had miscalculated again. At this time, Chen Hao knew he couldn't wait any longer. Lu Yoming's ninth level heavenly punishment was so powerful that Chen Hao, who was only at the medium stage of the Earth celestial stage, started to seriously injure his body. His recovery speed couldn't keep up with the speed of damage. Break! Chi! Chen Hao's spear pierced the sky. Rumble! He, who had just reached the ninth level heavenly punishment, directly pierced through his own tribulation cloud. However, the power of the tribulation cloud was instantly devoured by Lu Yoming's great tribulation cloud, which was several times more powerful. Whoosh! Chen Hao's figure instantly turned into a streamer, shuttled through the lightning, and flew away at an amazing speed. He broke through the tribulation cloud and escaped in one breath. What? You were pretending? Hu Meinyang's expression changed abruptly. Don't even think about escaping. Chi! Hu Meinyang didn't hesitate at all. The moment Chen Hao broke through the tribulation cloud with his spear, she also attacked. Her fist smashed the void and broke her ninth level heavenly tribulation cloud. She immediately chased after Chen Hao. Rumble! The tribulation cloud was broken, and the cultivation stage rose. Chen Hao, who had broken through to the medium stage of the Earth celestial stage, was twice as fast as before. However, Hu Meinyang, who had also reached the medium stage of the heaven celestial stage, was even faster. You want to leave just like that? Dream on. Ha ha ha. Ah, die. This time, Chen Hao didn't run toward Lu Yuming, who was at the core of the tribulation cloud. Instead, he ran to the left. He wanted to escape from the realm of heaven's punishment as quickly as possible. Hu Meinyang was also chasing after Chen Hao. In Lu Yoming's opinion, they were afraid that he would kill them after he succeeded in executing the realm of heaven's punishment. Therefore, he shouted complacently. He was ready to sacrifice his last bit of time to break through the tribulation cloud, kill Chen Hao, and kill Hu Meinyang. Now, he had no intention of subduing Hu Meinyang, who was a freak. However, he didn't expect that Hu Meinyang, who was chasing after Chen Hao, would suddenly turn around and attack him with her sword. The dazzling sword radiance, which seemed to have broken through the space barrier, arrived in an instant. Lu Yoming's sinister laughter stopped abruptly and turned into a horrible scream. It wasn't that Lu Yuming was too weak, but that Hu Meinyang was too powerful. Of course, it was also because Lu Yuming was too stupid. At this moment, he was resisting the realm of heaven's punishment. He was in a weakened state and hadn't recovered yet. How dare he provoke Hu Meinyang? Boom! Hu Meinyang didn't even look at him. Her body only paused slightly because of the sword radiance. However, under the realm of heaven's punishment and Hu Meinyang's fatal sword radiance, Lu Yuming, one of the top 10 elites of the Phantom Clan, was directly turned into ashes. What a tragic guy. What a tragic life. How is this possible? Chen Hao's hair stood on end. He was extremely frightened. He. Chen Hao, do you think you can still run away? If I, Hu Meinyang, want to kill you, one sword is enough. Don't think about hiding. If you didn't expose your concealment skills in front of the core palace, you might have a chance to escape. But now, don't even think about it. He. Hu Meinyang's expression no longer had the purity of a saintess. She was a pure demon. Her laughter was extremely charming. If it were an ordinary person, their bones would have melted. However, the words she said were bone-chilling. Even Chen Hao was no exception. B*TCH, who are you trying to scare? Trying to scare you? Go ahead and try. Hu Meinyang still maintained a distance of 200 miles from Chen Hao. At this distance, if she wanted to, she could kill Chen Hao with one sword strike. She had stepped into the middle stage of Heaven Immortal. If she was in the vast universe galaxy, she would definitely be an invincible Heaven Immortal. Chen Hao was at most an invincible Earth Immortal. He could only fight against an ordinary Heaven Immortal. He was no match for Hu Meinyang. After all, this was not a situation where the 9 seals of immortality were suppressing him. Hiss! With Lu Yuming dead, the realm of heaven's punishment dissipated. Therefore, Chunhao did not hesitate to activate the appearance-changing ring. At the same time, he activated the Heart Sutra of merging with heaven and earth. In an instant, he disappeared into thin air. Not even a trace of his aura was left behind. Oof. Chi 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 chi. Hu Meinyang snorted coldly and spread out her hands. Instantly, the sound of 10,000 Daos rang out, causing heaven and earth to tremble. Boundless Daos appeared out of nowhere, locking down the space around Chun, Hao, and Hu Meinyang. To be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 766. How is it? Hu Meinyang said with a relaxed expression. However, there was a hint of shock in the depths of her eyes. At the same time, she used her vast magic power to activate thousands of Taoist laws to shrink them. After witnessing Chun Hao's concealment technique in front of the core palace, she was already prepared, and she was sure that Chun Hao hadn't run away. However, she was actually unable to sense a trace of Chun Hao's aura, even though she attacked so quickly. After all, she was now a true middle-stage heaven immortal, and her perception had been pushed to the limit. She could not help but be shocked. Damn it! Chun Hao, have such a day. Oh God! What the hell do you mean? Hidden between heaven and earth, Chun Hao could not help but curse in his mind. He knew very well that Hu Meinyang definitely did not sense him. However, it did not matter whether she sensed him or not. As the dense and crisscrossing Taoist laws closed in, he was like a bird in a cage to Hu Meinyang. Catching him was as easy as catching a turtle in a jar. Moreover, Chun Hao did not have any ability to resist. Bitch, I didn't expect you to hide so deeply. Chun Hao did not continue to hide. He revealed himself and stared at Hu Meinyang. Deeply? You still haven't seen the true strength of me. Hu Meinyang. Ha ha ha. If I'm not wrong, you're the one who forced me to run away and chased after me, right? Smart. If I didn't do that, how could I have the Tao manifestation immortal fruit and all your magic treasures? I am the saintess of the misty rain house, holy and flawless. No flaws are allowed. What about before? With your true strength, I don't believe that you couldn't defeat me in the previous battle. Chun Hao said, Ha ha, you overestimate me. With the suppression of the 9 seals of immortal sealing, I am a bird without wings. The innate Taoist embryo's strongest attribute is the word Tao. The Taoist laws are incomplete, and I don't even have 1% of my strength. Even if I become a heaven immortal, I can't do it. What else do you want to know? Meinyang can tell you everything. Hu Meinyang said patiently with a smile as she stared at Chun Hao. If someone who didn't know what was going on saw them, they would think that Chun Hao was her friend. You think you've got me? What do you think? Ha ha! Hu Meinyang's entire body exuded boundless charm. Her jade-like face blossomed with the radiance of spring. Her eyes were bright and misty, filled with naked provocation as she stared at Chun Hao. Slut, an ugly bitch like you. Even if your seduction technique is 100 or 1,000 times stronger, it still won't work on me. If you want to kill me, just come. What was the point of doing so? Don't say you're going to rape me. Chun Hao said disdainfully. Actually, he was already certain that Hu Meinyang would not immediately kill him. However, he did not know exactly what Hu Meinyang wanted to do. At this moment, seeing Hu Meinyang's appearance, Chun Hao faintly guessed at something. If Hu Meinyang wanted to kill him, there was no way he could resist. There was no need for her to use her seduction technique on him. Is Meinyang the kind of person in your eyes? Hu Meinyang was still smiling as she said, Meinyang is as pure as ice and as pure as jade. You're the only one who has taken advantage of Meinyang. The medium stage of the Earth celestial stage. Oh, now the late stage of the Earth celestial stage. You have such powerful strength. I have to say that you're the most talented man I've ever seen. When you step into the heaven celestial stage, perhaps even Meinyang at the medium stage of the heaven celestial stage may not be your match. Especially your physique. You're obviously immortal, But in the 9 seals of celestial sealing, you're so powerful that you're comparable to the #1 genius in the history of our vast universe galaxy, Yi Xian. Meng Yang is indeed very interested in you. Unfortunately, you have no background. However, if I kill you just like that, it would be a pity. Ha ha ha! Seal! Chi! Chi! As Hu Meinyang laughed coquettishly, tens of thousands of daos resonated, and the wind and clouds surged. In an instant, the spiritual chi of heaven and earth and the Taoist principles in the space within 1,000 miles converged and formed a protective barrier with a diameter of 1,000 miles, completely isolating her and Chun Hao from the outside world. F*CK. What are you trying to do? Chun Hao's expression changed slightly as he cursed. This woman was too monstrous. Chun Hao had a feeling that he could not guess what she was trying to do. He also did not know what she was trying to do to him. Ha ha! I know that your soul and will are very, very strong. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to hide from my senses. I also know that you must have cultivated a rare soul technique. Therefore, I won't kill you directly. I'll give you a chance. A chance. That's right. If you can seize this chance, you only need to agree to one condition of Meng Yang. Moreover, it's a condition that will only benefit you and not harm you. Meng Yang will definitely not make things difficult for you. If you can't seize it, then you can only die. Ahem. Why is it different from what I imagined? Just as Chun Hao was frowning and feeling extremely depressed, Old God's voice suddenly appeared in Chun Hao's mind. Old God, F*CK your sister. Ahem. Master this. Don't blame me. I originally thought that she would definitely forcefully fuse her yin and yang with you, and then devour your body, soul, and the Tao manifestation immortal fruit to refine into her body cauldron. If that's the case, I believe that with Master's soul and will, as well as my treasure hunter's help, you can easily take her down. Not only can you obtain her primordial yin, but you can also refine her. If I had made it clear to you, Master, you might not have agreed to it. Even if you can't resist the temptation and agree to it, I'm afraid it will leave a knot in your heart. Therefore, you might as well avoid it and wait for it to happen. When it happens, I'll appear. Then, you can do whatever you want and won't have a knot in your heart. However, I didn't expect this woman to act so unconventionally. F*CK. Old God, can you be any more shameless? Chun Hao was speechless when he heard Old God's words. Ahem. Everything is for Master. F*CK. You can still escape, right? This. I'm afraid not. But don't worry, Master. Let's see what she wants to do. I'll find an opportunity. Old God said, don't look at me like that. You don't have a choice. If I want to kill you, it's just a matter of raising my hand. Hu Meinyang said with a smile. Speak. Chun Hao said helplessly. When one was under the eaves, one had to lower one's head. A real man knew when to yield and when to stand tall. As long as it did not go against his conscience, he would deal with it and look for a breakthrough. First, sign a soul symbiosis contract with me for a year. I know that if you have the chance, you'll kill me immediately. What we're about to do, I can't be distracted. Your soul cultivation is not inferior to mine. You won't be afraid, right? Hu Meinyang stared at Chun Hao. Do I have a choice? No. Then what are you talking about? Bring it out. Chi. Chi. As Chun Hao spoke, a ball of milky white light appeared between his eyebrows. At the same time, Hu Meinyang did the same. To be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 767. These were the imprints of their respective soul dwellings. Under the control of their pure soul power, they slowly converged in the middle of the two. It seemed simple, but Hu Meinyang was very careful, afraid that Chun Hao would make things difficult for her. On the other hand, Chun Hao was fearless. The reason was simple. He had no choice. Chi, 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 chi. When the two soul dwellings' imprints slowly met, they suddenly blossomed with resplendent light and quickly merged. Soon after, with a chi sound, They split into two again and merged into the space between their eyebrows at an astonishing speed. Hee. Fortunately, you didn't act impulsively. Do I look like such an idiot? Chun Hao disdainfully glanced at the endless Tao laws around him and said, I didn't expect your soul to be stronger than I thought. If you had really fought with me just now, you could have taken me down with you. It's even more possible now, but your life isn't worth it. Chun Hao said, Of course, even a mortal would think that their life is more important. If not, why would I sign a soul symbiotic contract with you? Ha! Well said, but I suddenly feel that it's worth it. I don't know if you're smart or stupid. After signing this contract, what else can you threaten me with? At worst, I'll die with you. Ha ha! Chun Hao stared at Yang and said arrogantly. Of course, he was just saying this to give Yang a warning in advance. If his conditions were too difficult and went against his own heart, then he would take her down with him. Do I look like such an idiot to you? Yang smiled faintly and repeated Chun Hao's words back to him. Say it. What do you want? Chun Hao said, I'll teach you the Secular Heart Sutra and dual cultivate with me. What? Chun Hao suddenly opened his eyes wide. What, you're not willing? Yang's eyes suddenly bloomed with boundless flirtatiousness as she stared at Chun Hao with a sweet smile, full of provocation. Nonsense. Chun Hao, am not a casual person. His head could be severed and his blood could flow, but he would absolutely not do something like selling his body. Don't even think about it. Otherwise, we'll die together. Chun Hao said righteously. Do you hate me that much? Is there need to ask? If I could, I would have stabbed you to death long ago. Chun Hao stared at Yang and said without hesitation. Ha ha. What are you laughing at? I'm serious. Do you think I don't dare? You do dare. I'm very clear about your killing intent towards me. Unfortunately, you don't have that ability. Yang stared at Chun Hao, and the smile on her face suddenly disappeared. However, am I, Yang, a casual person? The dual cultivation I'm talking about is not the fusion of yin and yang. You're not qualified. Chun Hao frowned slightly. At this point, he realized that he could not understand the thoughts of this seductive woman in front of him. He also did not know what her purpose was. All he could do was to take one step at a time. Now that you and I are dual cultivating, you need to merge our souls. I will open up the complete Mortal Heart Sutra for you. If you can comprehend the first level of the sutra before we form the soul symbiosis contract, you will have succeeded in the first step. If you can't, then you will die with me. I'm not joking either. What's your purpose? Do you think I'm afraid of dying together with you? If you can't comprehend it, you don't have to do anything. I'll drag you down with me. Can you let go of your Taoist companion? Can you let go of your family, relatives, and friends? Death is like blowing out a lamp. What's the point of talking about letting go when you're already dead? Don't be so hypocritical. You can't let go. As for me, I have no family, relatives, or friends. There's nothing I can't let go of. If you can't succeed, death is a release for me. Yang's face shone with determination. There was no longer a trace of seduction. He looked straight into Chun Hao's eyes without avoiding his gaze. At this moment, Yang was no longer a femme fatale who attracted thousands of geniuses. The loneliness in her eyes was not fake. It was not something that could be faked just because she wanted to, old God, King, get out here. Master, don't ask me. I don't understand at all. We can only take one step at a time. This woman isn't as simple as she seems on the surface. What she said shouldn't be false. If you don't succeed, she might really take you down with her. However, I feel that her goal is related to the Mortal Heart Sutra. Moreover, she should have a lot of difficulties and need someone with an extremely high innate talent to be able to save her. Master, you are a monstrous genius of a human race that only appears once in 1,000,000,000,000 years. If you can't do it, then she will never be able to free herself. In addition to her hatred for you, she will naturally choose to take you down with her. If you didn't mess around and help me escape earlier, how would we have gotten into this mess? Forget it. As Chun Hao communicated with Old God, he looked at Yang. After looking at each other for half a minute, Chun Hao spat out 2 words, lunatic. Isn't the Mortal Heart Sutra something that only the innate Taoist embryo can cultivate? And that's a woman's martial art. I'm not the innate Taoist embryo, and I'm not a woman. That's just a rumor in the cultivation world. Because only the innate Taoist embryo can comprehend the Mortal Heart Sutra, it's taken for granted that only the innate Taoist embryo can cultivate it. Because it's the Misty Rain Tower's ultimate martial art, it's considered a woman's ultimate martial art. Let's begin. Without further ado, Chun Hao sat down cross-legged. In a flash, Hu Meinyang appeared in front of Chun Hao and sat cross-legged facing him. She stretched out her jade-like, beautiful hands. At the same time, a dazzling light shone from between her eyebrows and slowly extended toward the space between Chun Hao's eyebrows. When Chun Hao's hands came into contact with Hu Meinyang's hands, the light between Hu Meinyang's eyebrows connected with Chun Hao's eyebrows. Boom! Both of their minds shook at the same time. I've opened it. Don't worry, just come in. With the soul symbiosis contract, their souls were easily connected. Hu Meinyang opened up a space in her mind and communicated with divine thought. Hiss! At this point, Chun Hao no longer had any scruples. His mind entered the space in Hu Meinyang's mind. This woman is really abnormal. Even if I become a heaven celestial, I'm afraid I won't be stronger than her. Sensing the vast and boundless space within Hu Meinyang's mind, Chun Hao was astonished. Even though he had been confined to a tunnel by Hu Meinyang and was constantly venturing deeper, he was still able to sense the vastness of her mind through Hu Meinyang's divine sense seal. Moreover, it was filled with endless Tao laws, as if it was a complete world. In terms of a space in her mind, Chun Hao, who had just reached the later stage of the Earth Celestial stage, had no advantage at all. Don't try to explore my memory. Do you think I care? You don't have much time. You'd better hurry up and comprehend it. Buzz. Chun Hao's mind was suddenly activated by Hu Meinyang's mind. Like lightning, he entered an independent space in her mind. In front of him, there were 13 white jade steels, which were as tall as mountains. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 768. This is the Red Dust Heart Sutra. Chun Hao gazed at the 13 white jade crystal steels and asked with his divine sense. That's right. These 13 white jade crystal steels are both independent and integral. Each of them contains a sentence of the Red Dust Heart Sutra from the 1st to the 13th layer. Only by comprehending all 13 white jade crystal steels at the same time will you be able to grasp the mystery within and comprehend the Heart Sutra. The so-called Red Dust Heart Sutra is the 7 emotions and 6 desires of the mortal world and has a total of 13 layers. It can only be understood but not explained. This is also the Tao mark left on these 13 white jade crystal steels by the founder of the Misty Rain Pavilion. I hope you can comprehend it. This is all I can tell you. After hearing Hu Meinyang's words, Chun Hao didn't ask any more questions but asked coldly, "What are you doing near my mind?" Since it's dual cultivation, it naturally has to be fair. Don't you think you should open up a space in your mind for me? I'm not trying to uncover any secrets. I'm just trying to maintain an absolute balance so that our soul channel will be more stable. This way, you won't be affected by any fluctuations in your comprehension. Are you still afraid? Afraid? What do I have to be afraid of? If you can do it, Chun Hao, can naturally do it. Go in. Chi. At the same time, Chun Hao used his spiritual will to bring Hu Meinyang's spiritual will into his own mind. At the same time, he opened up an independent space in his mind. However, it was a vast expanse of whiteness. There was nothing for Hu Meinyang to comprehend. By the way, you should know about the red dust sword Tao, right? Chun Hao suddenly thought of this question and asked again. Of course I know. You. Don't tell me you've cultivated the red dust sword Tao. Hu Meinyang asked in surprise. That's right. I understand. No wonder you have so many sore intents. Massacre, destruction, immortality. If that's the case, you'll have a higher chance of comprehending the Red Dust Heart Sutra. The Red Dust Sword Tao also originates from the 7 emotions and 6 desires of the mortal world, just like the Red Dust Heart Sutra. However, it's only a pure sword Tao, while the Red Dust Heart Sutra covers many fields. After mastery, it can evolve into various magical powers and laws. It's not something the secular sword Tao can compare to. If you can comprehend the secular Heart Sutra, your secular sword Tao will definitely improve. Hu Meinyang said excitedly, "You know quite a lot about me." After Chun Hao finished speaking, he sat down cross-legged. His mind entered a state of emptiness in an instant. His pitch-black eyes bloomed with a bright crystal light as he looked at the 13 Tao marks that seemed to be casually drawn by his fingers. There was no pattern, nor were they runes or words. Hu Meinyang, who wanted to ask Chun Hao for the secular sword Tao Heart Sutra, could only shut her mouth. Tao marks were the marks left behind by cultivators in the world. In the world of cultivation, this was the most common method of inheritance. Most of them were unintentionally left behind by senior experts, while a small number were intentionally left behind. There were countless places in the world of cultivation that were left unintentionally, such as the places where senior experts fought and cultivated in seclusion. A mountain peak that had been severed by a sword would still retain the might of that sword, even after millions of years had passed. Sword marks, palm prints, finger holes, fist holes, and so on left behind by those who comprehended the Tao. As long as the cultivator's original state of mind, energy, and spirit were fused into it, they could be called Tao marks. However, this kind of Tao mark inheritance required an extremely high level of comprehension, because it could only be understood and not explained. There was no Heart Sutra, only aura. Different people had different views. How much and what one could comprehend from the remnant aura differed from person to person. The only similarity was the origin, just like the 7 emotions and 6 desires. If they were compared to Tao marks, then the Red Dust Sword Tao and Red Dust Heart Sutra were comprehended by different cultivators in this Tao mark. The origin was the same, but the manifestation was different. Boom, 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 boom. Chun Hao's mind and eyes turned into strands of strands, merging into the countless oddly shaped and irregular Tao marks on the 13 white jade crystal tablets. His mind suddenly felt as if the mountains and rivers were collapsing and thousands of swords were ringing. The fine ripple-like Tao marks made Chun Hao's state of mind ripple like water, light and agile. The Tao marks that were as sharp as a sword splitting the sky made Chun Hao's state of mind cold and fierce, and filled with killing intent. The crisscrossing and strange Tao marks made Chun Hao feel as if he was besieged by rats, and his anger soared to the sky. The seemingly simple Tao marks brought about 1,000 changes in Chun Hao's state of mind in an instant. Even though Chun Hao was mentally prepared, he was still extremely shocked. This was only the Tao marks left behind by the founder of the Misty Rain Tower, but the power it released was as if it could control the ups and downs of the world. Chun Hao didn't have any room to resist at all. He only kept his mind clear for a moment, and then he felt as if he had fallen into a quagmire, completely merging into the infinite power of this mental transformation. Illusions appeared one after another. Sometimes he was overjoyed, sometimes he was furious, sometimes he was filled with endless sorrow, sometimes he was filled with endless fear, and sometimes he was filled with love, happiness, anger, sorrow, fear, love, evil, desire, smell, touch. The 7 emotions and 6 desires circulated. In front of the 13 white jade crystal tablets, Chun Hao was crazy, as if he had gone mad, and made a fool of himself. Hu Meinyang's mind had been locked onto Chun Hao's every move since the beginning. He actually merged into the 7 emotions and 6 desires so quickly. It should be because he has laid the foundation for cultivating the Red Dust Sword Tao. Otherwise, it's impossible to be so fast. However, it's not that easy to comprehend the first level of the Red Dust Heart Sutra. I hope you can succeed. This is just the beginning. 5 days later, he actually entered the state of happiness so quickly. It's only been 5 days, and he has already jumped out of the flow of the 7 emotions and 6 desires. At this moment, Chun Hao had a smile on his face that came from the bottom of his heart. His joy was beyond words and came from the bottom of his heart. Even though he was only a manifestation of his divine sense, he had a boundless charm that affected all things in the world. Even Hu Meinyang, who was observing Chun Hao with her mind, revealed a smile at the corner of her mouth. 18 days later, Hu Meinyang was furious, like a volcano erupting, and she was unable to restrain her anger. In the blink of an eye, half a year had passed. Chun Hao had entered the state of lust. Hu Meinyang, whether it was her manifestation of her mind or her true body that was sitting cross-legged, touching Chun Hao's palms and connecting their brows. Both of her cheeks were flushed, and she was filled with boundless lust. He's only immersed in the most primitive state of mind, and he can already affect me. His chances of success should be greater, right? Hu Meinyang muttered to herself. She had always been the one to influence others with the Red Dust Heart Sutra. However, at this moment, Chun Hao, who was immersed in comprehending the Red Dust Heart Sutra, was able to make her rise and fall with Chun Hao. Although this was the reason why she didn't resist, it also showed that Chun Hao was deeply immersed in the state. Once he jumped out, even if he couldn't comprehend the Red Dust Heart Sutra, the benefits would still be huge. P.S. 3 chapters have been updated. A new month, a new beginning. Please guarantee the monthly votes. Thank you. To be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 769. It's been half a year, and I'm only short of 5 desires. There's enough time. Let's see if I can comprehend the mental cultivation method from the 7 emotions and 6 desires. Although Hu Meinyang's face was red, she still locked onto Chun Hao's aura. To her, this was also a form of cultivation. If I fail, I'd rather die, Hu Meinyang said resolutely in her heart. I am me. So what if you're the founder of a sect? I'm the master of my destiny. If I can't master it, I can only destroy it. Kill his mother. Big guy, do you have any shame? This is mine. Don't snatch it. Cough, cough. Ling, you and Brother Yang have already killed so many people. Don't you feel embarrassed? Fine, fine. I'll help sisters-in-law. Big guy, go rest somewhere else. We don't need your help. Brother Du Jing, your unorthodox method is too tiring. Let me help you. Big guy, I don't need. You have to help me even if you don't need it. F***CK. You're bullying me. I have no choice. You're the only one I can bully. Do you have the heart to watch me panic? Ha ha. Chi. Rumble. Terrifying explosions followed by shrill screams could be heard. In just 10 minutes, the 1,000-man army was completely annihilated. Everyone could not even hope to escape, and their enemy was only 11 people. Chen Shui, Long Ting, Lung Ning Huan, Lung Ning Lu, Pam Long, Chun Ling, Liang, Du Jing, Helian Wuzi, Tantai Lian, and Xia Yuyu. With the help of Helian Wuzi and the rest, Han Mei, Yun Wei, Pandong Lu, and Pandong Sheng had already entered the ancient Almighty's land of inheritance. The place where they were fighting was also the entrance of an ancient Almighty's land of inheritance. When Pan Long and the rest arrived, a group of hundreds of people had already been slaughtered. Only a dozen cultivators were left. Thank you for saving my life. You're welcome. Without you, Aotion would still kill these bastards. This is the mission set by our boss, Chun Hao, to fight for the human race. Ha ha. Don't steal my loot. Pan Long laughed wildly. However, halfway through his laughter, he suddenly cried out in alarm. With a chi sound, his body moved like lightning. He grabbed with both hands, and a terrifying spatial force collected the well-preserved magical equipment on the ground. Aotion Chun Hao, let's go. Wait, these spiritual herbs are for you to heal your injuries. Chi. Chun Shui tossed out a few ancient spirit herbs that emitted a dense mist from afar, floating in front of over 10 heavily injured human cultivators. Thank you, Commander. If it weren't for proud heaven, we would have already fallen. That's right. It seems like we don't have to think about it anymore. Hundreds of people, hundreds of brothers and sisters died just like that. The person who was called the captain felt his heart bleeding. Leader, don't be sad. Life and death is up to fate. When you step into the primal mystic realm, it is fated to be a bloodbath. How many of you can truly return victorious? If only we had the strength of proud Heaven's members. Don't even think about it. God of Slaughter, Chun Hao has long been famous in the primal mystic realm. In less than half a year, the proud heaven that he formed has become a nightmare for the strange races. How many human cultivators did he kill? Countless. I believe that after stepping out of the primal mystic realm, proud heaven will become the most dazzling existence in the vast universe galaxy. It's a pity. God of Slaughter Chun Hao has not appeared since he was chased by Humaneong. There's no news about him. There's also no news about Humaneong. Whether he's dead or alive, he's destined to be the pride of the human race. The name of God of Slaughter Chun Hao will become a legend in the vast universe galaxy. I believe that God of Slaughter Chun Hao won't die so easily. He's only at the intermediate Earth celestial stage, and he's able to kill the top prodigies at the heavenly celestial stage under the 9 celestial sealing restrictions. When the 9 celestial sealing restrictions disappeared, other than Humaneong and the 4 berserk dragons, the other top prodigies at the heavenly celestial stage were no match for him. How much luck did such a monstrous prodigy have? How many fortuitous encounters did he have? That Humaneong is also a monstrous prodigy. It's hard to say. However, it's strange that there's no news about either of them. No matter who wins in the end, one of them should appear. With their strength, it's impossible for them to be unknown. Stop guessing. This is not a level that we can reach. Let's find a secluded place and heal our wounds. After we're healed, we'll cultivate in the outer area and wait to leave this holy land. Staying alive is more important. Proud heaven. This was the name that Celestial Venerable Han Mei had suggested. The reason was simple. Chun Hao and the others had killed many prodigies from the human race. Once they stepped out of the primal mystic realm, they would definitely be hunted down by many top forces. No rules could protect them. However, if they could become the most dazzling existence in the vast universe galaxy and obtain unparalleled contribution points, they would be able to obtain the highest honor and protection from the divine temple. To put it bluntly, it was to make up for their mistakes. The slogan of fighting for the human race was purposely promoted. In the beginning, Pan Long, Chun Ling, and the others did not pay much attention to it. To them, this kind of empty slogan was meaningless. However, as the war between the 10 galaxies became more intense and fierce, this slogan became the glory of the human race. Even Pan Long and the others said it from the bottom of their hearts. There was no right or wrong, good or evil. There was only killing all the foreign races. This was a competition between galaxies. They were born to be on opposite sides. There was no one else. Du Jing, come and try it. This place should be suitable for you. After cleaning up the battlefield, Helian Wuzi looked at Du Jing and said, "Okay, thank you, sister-in-law." Du Jing said excitedly. The endless cycle of reincarnation and the inherited memories gave Helian Wuzi an advantage that no one else had. She could go directly to the place of inheritance every time, and it was targeted at everyone's talent. In just half a year, this was already the 5th. Among the crowd, Pan Long, Chun Ling, and Li Yang had already lost the qualification to obtain the inheritance of other ancient mighty figures, because this was the true inheritance of the mantle and alms bowl, not the universal supreme art inheritance of the palaces and cities in the 9 restrictions of immortal sealing. Helian Wuzi, Tantai Lian, and Xia Yu also lost the chance to receive the legacy. In just an hour, the entrance of the place of inheritance shone with a milky white light door, and Du Jing disappeared in front of everyone. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 770. After Du Jing entered the ancient land of inheritance, Hellion Woozy led the group and set off on their journey again. In this core area, there were a total of 1,000 ancient inheritances. Even though Hellion Woozy was familiar with the situation, she still had to race against time. Otherwise, others might beat her to it. As for Chun Hao, who had not received any news for half a year, the only thing they could do was wait. Perhaps, only when the inheritance of this holy land was completely obtained and the door of time and space opened would they be able to meet again. They firmly believed that Chun Hao would not have any problems. Time flew by. In the blink of an eye, the 1-year deadline was about to arrive. The last day, my fate, will I be destroyed in the end? Hu Meinyang's divine sense stared at Chun Hao, who was standing in the space of her mind like a sculpture. 2 months ago, Chun Hao had experienced every realm of the 7 emotions and 6 desires. However, Chun Hao did not move at all. Even his divine sense did not fluctuate. It was as if he had fallen into absolute silence, and his consciousness had stopped. Even now, there were still no signs of him waking up. The light shining from the 13 white jade steels had weakened to a very, very weak point. When the light disappeared, it meant that Chun Hao had failed. This was the time limit for any cultivator to comprehend the white jade steels. 1 year. If the time limit was not met, it meant that one did not have the qualifications to cultivate the Red Dust Heart Sutra. If Chun Hao failed, it meant that Hu Meinyang had failed. Moreover, there would be no chance for her to succeed again. And now, the time limit was about to expire. Hiss! The 13 white jade steels finally retracted their last ray of light and turned gray. Huff! It was also at this time that Chun Hao slowly opened his eyes. He frowned and looked at Hu Meinyang. You, go. Chun Hao was puzzled. The soul symbiotic contract will be lifted soon and you will be free. You are the person with the greatest talent I have ever seen. If you don't die, then in the future within vast universe galaxy, you should be able to bloom with an extremely dazzling light and become a true P character. Hu Meinyang slowly stood up. She didn't look at Chun Hao, but rather at the endless void as she muttered to herself. Her figure was still that graceful and exquisite figure. However, at this moment, she no longer possessed that high and mighty brilliance that was the moon surrounded by the stars. Instead, she was filled with desolation, loneliness, and lethargy. Unfortunately, you still didn't succeed. Then I'll take my leave. Chun Hao looked at Hu Meinyang's silhouette. After a slight hesitation, he cupped his fists and said. After he finished speaking, he stood up and walked away. Ha ha! Hu Meinyang suddenly laughed. Do you hate me that much? Don't you want to know why I did it? A hateful person is bound to have a pitiful side. Sorry, I really don't know anything about sex. Chun Hao stopped in his tracks and said without turning his head. A hateful person is bound to have a pitiful side. You don't want to know anything about me because you don't want to change your impression of me. If you could, you would still kill me without hesitation, right? You can think whatever you want, Chun Hao said. Then I want you to know. Buzz. Rumble. As they spoke, the soul symbiotic contract between the two of them reached the time limit and collapsed in their minds. Chi. At this moment, Hu Meinyang pointed a finger at Chun Hao and thousands of Dao laws instantly bound him. F***CK. What are you doing? Chun Hao said angrily. He had the opportunity to perish together with Hu Meinyang when the soul symbiotic contract was signed. However, Chun Hao was not an idiot. As Hu Meinyang had said, there were too many people he couldn't let go of. Hu Meinyang had calculated this and was not afraid at all. In fact, when Chun Hao escaped from the Red Dust Heart Sutra, he was already prepared. However, he did not expect Hu Meinyang, who thought he had failed, to let him go. This was beyond his expectations. However, what surprised him even more was that he had only said a few manly words, and this woman actually went back on her words. Whoosh! Hu Meinyang did not say anything. However, she did something that made Chun Hao's eyes widen. She gently removed her Taoist robe and let it slide down. Under the pink bra, her twin peaks were towering. Her slender waist could be held with one hand. Her perky buttocks, which had been kicked by Chun Hao before, were plump and perky under the bra. Her skin was like congealed cream, smooth, and delicate. Her two slender and well-proportioned jade legs were even more alluring. Buzz. At this moment, her beautiful face was as delicate as a peach blossom. Her crimson face carried the shyness of a young girl. Her eyes made the world darken as she looked straight at Chun Hao. This caused Chun Hao's mind to tremble. It was obvious that Hu Meinyang had pushed the Red Dust Heart Sutra to the extreme. In the past, Hu Meinyang could make countless geniuses prostrate themselves in worship, subdued by her peerless demeanor. But now, Hu Meinyang could absolutely make any man go crazy. Just by taking off her Taoist robe, her power was completely different. F***CK. Are you really going to use force on me? Chun Hao, swear that I won't do it. Chun Hao's bewildered eyes suddenly regained a trace of clarity as Hu Meinyang approached him with light steps. Then, he shouted angrily, You can still stay awake? Hu Meinyang was slightly surprised. Her face became even redder. This blush was definitely not something that the Red Dust Heart Sutra could fake. However, even though Chun Hao was familiar with the Red Dust Heart Sutra, he could not tell and would not tell. You're an entire realm apart. Your willpower is so strong. I don't believe this. Hu Meinyang's figure flashed and directly appeared in front of Chun Hao. Wearing only her underwear, she looked straight at Chun Hao. She was getting closer and closer. Standing on her tiptoes, the tip of her nose was almost touching Chun Hao's nose. Her delicate lips were also about to touch. At this moment, Chun Hao's senses were uncontrollably sharp to the extreme. An alluring fragrance madly attacked his nostrils. Hu Meinyang stretched out her jade-like, soft, and boneless hand and directly unbuttoned Chun Hao's Taoist robe. Hu Meinyang's hair touched Chun Hao's face. Her slightly disordered breathing and heartbeat ravaged Chun Hao's every nerve. Coupled with the effect of the Red Dust Heart Sutra, Chun Hao fell into absolute torment. Bitch, do you still know what shame is? You can have my body, but you can't have my heart, Chun Hao said gloomily. He even had the urge to vomit blood. Damn, this scene should be reversed. But he was a man, and he was actually being molested by a woman without any room to resist. You can't have my body, and you can't have my heart, Hu Meinyang whispered into Chun Hao's ear. However, this was the first time she had done so the fragrance that came out of her mouth was intermittent and trembling. Bitch, stop, I've already cheated. Just as Chun Hao was about to lay his cards on the table, his eyes widened. Hu Meinyang suddenly sealed his mouth with her delicate lips. At the same time, a stream of energy also directly imprisoned Chun Hao's mouth. Chapter 771. Boom. When Hu Meinyang's Red Dust Heart Sutra made direct contact with his body, Chun Hao felt as though his mind was about to explode. Flames of lust rose within him, but his mind remained clear-headed. Chun Hao was certain that if he had not experienced the Red Dust Heart Sutra for a year, perhaps he would have already fallen for her. However, his current state was even more painful than falling for her. He was not Liu Xiaohui, a hot-blooded young man. How could he not have a reaction? However, as a man, being forced by a woman was something that Chun Hao could not accept no matter what. This was absolutely a disgrace. If people knew that he, Chun Hao, had been forced to be molested, where would he put his face and dignity? However, there was nothing he could do now. He could not even bite Hu Meinyang, because this woman had used her powerful cultivation at the intermediate heavenly celestial stage to completely imprison him and completely cut off his control over his body. Damn it, it seems like this woman is really going to rape me. If anything, it should be me raping her. F***CK. Feeling Hu Meinyang's proud twin peaks pressing against his chest, feeling the obvious trembling and inexperienced forceful kiss, Chun Hao had no choice but to admit it. Since he couldn't resist, he might as well close his eyes and enjoy it. No, there's still one last way. Having lost control of his body, Chun Hao, who had originally planned to lay his cards on the table, did not dare to hesitate anymore. This woman was a lunatic who did not play by the rules at all. Every time Chun Hao miscalculated, she would miscalculate. In a year's time, Chun Hao had actually comprehended the first layer of the Red Dust Heart Sutra. But until the end, he didn't reveal it. It was just to make Hu Meinyang despair. After all, Hu Meinyang's words had already revealed that if he couldn't succeed, she would be finished. Chun Hao was forced to do so, so naturally, he would not let her be too happy. However, he did not expect that the vicious Hu Meinyang would let him go after he failed. However, when he was about to leave, Hu Meinyang's attitude changed because of him. Chun Hao immediately focused his mind and integrated it into his soul abode. At the same time, he activated the first level of the Red Dust Heart Sutra. He believed that since Hu Meinyang had used her cultivation at the middle stage of Heaven Celestial to control and imprison his body, she would naturally be able to sense the fluctuation of his soul. As long as she could sense that he had comprehended the Red Dust Heart Sutra, then she might be able to stop her current actions. Sure enough, when Chun Hao's soul released the faint aura of the first stage of the Red Dust Heart Sutra, Hu Meinyang, who had been conflicted but had hardened her heart, suddenly trembled and her eyes blossomed with 2 rays of crystal light. Then, Hu Meinyang abruptly retreated 2 meters. Looking at Chun Hao in surprise, she said, "You've comprehended the first level of the Secular World Sutra? F***CK. Surprise my ass. So what if you've comprehended it?" Chun Hao instantly regained half of his freedom and was able to speak, but he was still angry. "Why didn't you say so earlier? You shut my mouth? What do you want me to say?" Hu Meinyang's face was flushed red. She suddenly put on her Taoist robe. At the same time, she used her magical power to put on Chun Hao's Taoist robe and said, "Don't be so arrogant. It's still very easy for me to kill you now. If you don't want to die, then according to our agreement, we'll proceed to the second step." Chun Hao wanted to say something, but this time he controlled his mouth and said, "Say it. Start dual cultivation with me and break through the 9th level of the Secular World Sutra. I'm now at the 9th level. With me dual cultivation with you, you'll be able to cultivate to the 9th level in a few years. Once you break through to the 10th level, you'll have succeeded in the second step. This is a good thing for you. Although I really don't want to understand you. Now I want to know what you're going to do. I'm sorry, when I wanted to say it, you didn't want to listen. Now, since you've comprehended the Secular World Sutra, there's no need for me to tell you. You know, a hateful person must have a pitiful side. I don't need your pity. Bitch, don't call me bitch again. Otherwise, I'll kill you immediately. I mean what I say. I can only tell you that what happened just now was the first time in my life. Although I forced you, I'm not harming you. At most, I can't let her continue to be Hu Meinyang or let others become Hu Meinyang again. It's a good thing for you. It's up to you to believe it or not." Hu Meinyang's face was like a peach blossom, but she looked straight at Chun Hao and said calmly, "We need to sign a new soul contract this time. 1,000 years. 1,500 years? You don't need 10,000 years? If you're in danger, do you think I'll have to save you? 1,500 years is about the length of time in the primitive mystic realm. Once we step out of the primitive mystic realm, we'll be able to get rid of it immediately. But 10,000 years seems safer. Stop dreaming. 10 years. 20,000 years. 20 years. 30,000 years. F***CK. 1,500 years it is. When the time comes, you're welcome to kill me. Of course, I'll rape you before killing you." Chun Hao was fuming as he stared at Hu Meinyang. However, Hu Meinyang's face was already red, and she didn't say anything. She directly took out the soul imprint, which made Chun Hao feel like he was punching empty air. "I hope you can help me reach the 10th level. If you can't, I won't let you die with me, but I'll do what I just did. Although it's a good thing for you, it'll be the shame of your life, right?" By a woman. After the soul contract was completed, Hu Meinyang looked at the furious Chun Hao and reminded him, such a state was not suitable for dual cultivation. You won't have a chance. Let's begin. That's what I want to see the most." Papa. Their palms met again. Chun Hao, who had no choice, instantly threw away all distracting thoughts and entered an ethereal state. Their eyes looked straight at each other, and their souls were connected. If you're a man, don't peek at my memories. I have my pride and my perseverance. This time, your soul must be integrated into the Red Dust Heart Sutra without any distractions. You must adapt to my rhythm and be guided by me. Don't talk about men and women. At most, we're the same. If you dare to look at me, I won't let you go. Then let's begin. I'll follow you first and see how you've comprehended it. Then you can follow me. The two of them spoke through telepathy. After speaking, they activated the first level of the Red Dust Heart Sutra at the same time. The reason why it was said to be similar was because each of them had their own comprehension. There was no complete mental cultivation method, and it differed from person to person. In an instant, Chun Hao was integrated into the 7 emotions and 6 desires. Hu Meinyang, who needed to observe Chun Hao's comprehension, was integrated into Chun Hao's mind. Chapter 772. Rage. Kill. Boom. Chun Hao, who had been suppressing his anger, directly entered the rage state. His powerful soul force, under Chun Hao's urging, suddenly released a mysterious fluctuation, causing Hu Meinyang to instantly enter a state of uncontrollable rage along with Chun Hao's mood. If Hu Meinyang and Chun Hao's souls weren't connected, and if she didn't merge into Chun Hao's mind, she would only follow Chun Hao's rage and be infected with a trace of rage. But now, she had merged into the specially created illusion by Chun Hao. What made Hu Meinyang frown was that in the illusion, she also appeared. The boundless rage of Chun Hao crazily chased and killed. You only know how to be satisfied here. Hu Meinyang's soul force fluctuated as she transmitted her voice. Ha ha! After a round of killing, Chun Hao cut off Hu Meinyang's head with his sword and stomped it with his foot. He laughed heartily in his mind, ignoring Hu Meinyang's ridicule, and directly entered the pleasure state. This time, Hu Meinyang frowned as she watched. Her breasts were heaving up and down. Obviously, it was beyond her tolerance. She had long been aware of Chun Hao's killing intent and hatred towards her, but she didn't expect it to be to such an extent. In the pleasure state, she was casually trampled on by Chun Hao. Punches and kicks, insults and ridicule, and so on. Even if she knew that Chun Hao was venting, Hu Meinyang was still a little angry, but she still endured it. When Chun Hao entered the lust state, Hu Meinyang was finally fuming with anger and jumped out of Chun Hao's soul. Otherwise, she was afraid that she really couldn't help but attack Chun Hao. Bastard. Shameless. Hu Meinyang's face flushed red. Her soul-piercing eyes stared fiercely at Chun Hao, angrily cursing in her heart. In the lust state, Chun Hao made her crawl at his feet and did all kinds of obscene actions. She was a slut. Why can't you bear it? You're at the 9th level of the Red Dust Heart Sutra. At this time, Chun Hao's provocative voice sounded in her soul force. You? Hu Meinyang was suddenly startled. I've been influenced by you so much. This is just an illusion. I'm forcefully condensing it. If it's an illusion from the heart, I'm afraid you'll get lost, right? Chun Hao said, don't waste time. You have to come in order to fully grasp my comprehension. So be it. Do you think I'm afraid of you? Hu Meinyang said, wait for me to guide you, you'll suffer. I'm looking forward to it. Chun Hao said disdainfully. Finally, he felt a little elated. Even though it was just a fantasy, it was still a relief to be able to make this woman so angry. In the blink of an eye, 3 years had passed. At this moment, the two people who were sitting cross-legged with their palms, touching each other, exuded a mysterious aura. Under the influence of Hu Meinyang, even Chun Hao's body was surrounded by endless rules of the Great Path. Moreover, it formed a world of its own, independent of Hu Meinyang. Although it was far inferior to Hu Meinyang's, it was still extremely shocking for Chun Hao, who did not have an innate Taoist embryo. The two of them looked at each other with their soul-piercing eyes. There was no sadness or joy in their eyes. They were ethereal and detached. They had temporarily put down the hatred in their hearts and were completely immersed in the mystery of the Red Dust Heart Sutra. 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, time flowed like water. The two of them had no concept of time and were detached from the mortal world. At times, Humaignon would guide, and at times, Chunhao would take the initiative. Every time Chunhao broke through a level of the Red Dust Heart Sutra, Humaignon would take the lead and guide. Every time their understanding was completely controlled by each other and truly integrated, Humaignon would dominate Chunhao to break through to the next level. Over the past 20 years, Humaignon's confidence had grown. Chunhao's talent and perception had shocked her more and more. Although she had been helping Chunhao make breakthroughs in his cultivation, she had been able to gain unexpected benefits from Chunhao's unique comprehension of each level. She was certain that once she stepped into the 7th level of the Red Dust Heart Sutra, as long as she used the 7th level, she would be stronger than the 9th level. And now, they had both stepped into the 9th level. Perfect! Chunhao, my highest level is the 9th level. To break through to the 10th level, we have to fully comprehend it. This is also the most crucial step. After stepping into the 10th level, you have to do something for me and fulfill our agreement. At that time, you can leave. Speak, Chunhao said directly. Although Chunhao didn't want to admit it, during the 20 years of dual cultivation, apart from the illusions that Humaignon had deliberately created to take revenge on him, he also discovered that Humaignon wasn't the venomous woman that he had imagined her to be. Although all kinds of illusions could confuse and infect all living things, they were always neutral and peaceful, full of overwhelming righteousness. This was the most fundamental thing of a person, and it was definitely not something that an evil person could condense. In addition, Chunhao had long guessed that Humaignon might be under the control of the Red Dust Heart Sutra, and gradually, he did not hate this woman as much. Of course, it was just that he did not hate her that much. You and I may be in danger, Humaignon said after a slight pause. Do I have a choice? Chunhao said disdainfully. Yes, you can choose not to help me, and then perish with me? Stop being a hypocrite and speak. Oomph. Is it fun to speak against your conscience? After 20 years, don't you know what kind of person I, Humaignon, am? No matter who you are, I can say this for everything you did to me. What did I do to you? The Tao manifestation immortal fruit core is a treasure of heaven and earth. It is especially important to me. Why can't I take it? If I couldn't, I would have run away. You could have hit me anywhere, but you just had to kick me there. After that, I came to find you. When did I really kill you? What are you talking about? Other than the last time, when did you have the ability to kill me? You have also cultivated the Red Dust Heart Sutra to the 9th level, let alone the 9th level. Even if it was the 7th level, if I really wanted to do anything, do you think you could escape? I dare not say that I can mesmerize everyone in the world, but I have the ability to make all the cultivators here lose themselves and become my men of sacrifice. That's because you have scruples about your identity. You still have to maintain the image of a saintess. Saintess my ass. Humaignon suddenly swore like Chunhao. What image does a saintess who is almost destined to lose herself talk about? You said that you wanted to rape me, right? I'm a man. Do you know how humiliating that is? That's because you don't even want to hear the complaints of a dying man before he dies. Even if I die, I have to leave behind the secrets that I know. Since you want to do that, I can only wrong myself and fulfill your wish. Chapter 773. At this moment, Humaignon's eyes sparkled as if she was too emotional. However, she quickly regained her composure and looked directly at Chunhao. You said so much. Could it be that you've forgiven me? Forgive my ass. Haha. Damn it, why are you laughing? I like to laugh. What does that have to do with you? Humaignon cursed as well, not caring that her words were damaging her image. Speak. Chunhao glared at the woman. He was speechless. You should have seen the rune shining on my body when we went through the heavenly punishment, right? Humaignon cut to the chase. I saw it. Using your body as a cauldron. Only you could do that. Shouldn't the best way for you be to refine me and the Tao manifestation immortal fruit into your body? At that time, you wanted to be strong. Forget it. You can continue. Chun Hao thought of his conjecture and said. However, he stopped halfway. Since Hu Meinyang had mentioned the rune, perhaps it was what she meant when she said that she was no longer the root of her existence. Before the rune appeared on my body, I only had one goal, and that was to snatch the Tao manifestation immortal fruit from you. Only the Tao manifestation immortal fruit could help me escape my fate. However, it appeared when I resisted the heavenly punishment. At that time, I realized that even if I obtained the Tao manifestation immortal fruit, it would only be a gift to someone else. Instead, I would end up in an irreversible situation. So, I changed my mind. Your talent is the strongest I've ever seen, and you also have the Tao manifestation immortal fruit. This could be my only chance at survival. However, between us, I can only force you. Get to the point, Chun Hao said impatiently. That rune is the devil fetus in the 13 white jade crystal tablets. Devil fetus? What devil fetus? An existence that wants to devour your soul and take over your body? Yes, you should know that no cultivator can truly live forever. Possession and reincarnation are two ways of living, but they are not limitless. At a certain point, you will eventually walk towards death. However, when the founder of the Misty Rain Tower was about to die, he sealed his evil thoughts on the 13 white jade tablets of the Red Dust Sutra as a training object for his disciples. But the founder didn't expect that no disciple in the Misty Rain Tower could cultivate the Red Dust Sutra. Therefore, after the evil thoughts were born, no one killed them. Gradually, it gave birth to its own intelligence. Until the Holy Virgin of the previous generation of the Misty Rain Tower with the innate Taoist embryo appeared, she should have discovered this secret. Unfortunately, she died unexpectedly because of emotional problems. She didn't leave behind any words. So, I wasn't prepared for it. When I reached the peak of the late stage of the Earth's celestial stage, it suddenly wanted to possess me, and I discovered it. Fortunately, it was too impatient and exposed itself before it matured. But even if I want to kill it, I couldn't do it. Its cultivation level is higher than mine. So, you thought of dual cultivation and borrowed my strength. Yes, previously, in the Holy Temple and the vast universe galaxy, I made friends with the top geniuses of the vast universe galaxy in order to find someone who could help me. Unfortunately, none of them caught my eye. TSK. Do you want to find someone to help you, or a cultivation partner? Previously, when I asked for help, I asked my guardian for help. The Holy Virgin of the Misty Rain Tower doesn't have a cultivation partner. Of course, I want to find someone who can help me. Oh, do you mean you want to find me? You are not qualified. I suppressed it with my strength, and you just wanted to live. F***CK. Although I forced you, it didn't harm you. What we're going to do next, although it is dangerous, it will also benefit you a lot. Moreover, I will compensate you. Hu Meinyang said, what we're going to do next is to work together to comprehend the 10th level of the Red Dust Sutra. During this period, we must break the seal formed by the devil fetus before we can comprehend it. After we succeed, we will seize the opportunity to break into the 13 white jade tablets and kill the devil fetus. If we succeed, I will teach you every level of the Red Dust Sutra that I comprehend. This is my compensation. Without you, I can still comprehend it, can't I? It's just a matter of time. Chun Hao said, you are wrong. You have already comprehended the first level. Do you think you can comprehend the second level by yourself? Maybe you can. However, without the 13 pagoda tablets, it will be extremely difficult. Unless you experience the world of mortals and experience the 7 emotions and 6 desires, you will not be able to comprehend it without tens of thousands of years. Let's begin. Chun Hao did not say anything else. In an instant, the 13 pagoda tablets appeared in Hu Meinyang's mind again. This time, Chun Hao and Hu Meinyang's divine will manifest it as one. They pushed the Red Dust Sutra to the limit and merged it with the Tao marks on the 13 white jade tablets. The seal left by the devil fetus blocks the 10th level of the Red Dust Sutra. The first thing we need to do is lock onto it. Hiss! Hiss! The two of them were as one, shuttling back and forth in the white jade steel to capture any abnormalities. What surprised Chun Hao was that every time the two of them were about to lock onto it, a wisp of extremely cunning energy would suddenly escape, cutting off the flow of the 10th layer of the white jade steel. Follow the tracks and force it to the edge of the 11th level. It has no way to escape. It has only comprehended the 10th level. Hu Meinyang said in her mind. "Oomph. Little girl, you dare to join forces with outsiders to deceive your master? Do you really think the two of you can kill me?" Suddenly, a voice that was pleasant to the ear like celestial music resounded out, and even Chun Hao felt his heart tremble when he heard it. "My master has already passed away. You're just a devil fetus. How dare you call yourself my master?" Hu Meinyang said coldly. "You don't know what's good for you. Being the continuation of my life is the best ending for you. In the future, you'll be able to look down on the world and be invincible. Since you want to die, don't blame me." The melodious voice rang out again. Suddenly, it continued. "Little brother, my junior disciple wants to deceive his master. Why are you helping him? Moreover, he forced you and did not give you any benefits. If you join forces with me now, I can easily take over your body and be reborn. At that time, I will let you be my guardian. This body is the primordial body of the innate Taoist fetus. If you obtain it, you will definitely reap great benefits. Moreover, I have all kinds of divine powers and ultimate skills that can guarantee that you will become stronger. Chun Hao, don't be tempted by her. Sound good? The conditions are very generous. Maybe I should think about it." Hu Meinyang was angered by Chun Hao's words. Chapter 774. Hee. Little brother, you're a wise man indeed. Remove the fusion with her now and help me succeed. Later, I'll give you my primordial. As long as you're willing, I can accompany you any time. He. Shameless. Chun Hao, if you listen to it, you won't even know how you died. Don't forget that we have a symbiotic soul contract. Hu Meinyang said angrily when she sensed Chun Hao's mental fluctuations. Even she didn't expect the demon fetus to be so cunning. Little brother, don't be afraid. After I take over her body, her soul won't be destroyed. It won't affect you. Come on, let's get started. You'll be able to obtain the primordial of this connate Taoist fetus and satisfy all your desires. Come on. Right away, I'll help you right away. Don't tempt me. Your offer is very tempting. Chun Hao wasn't affected by the demon fetus' seductive voice. Hu Meinyang, do you have anything to say? Actually, you still have an advantage. No. If you want to do it, then do it. I, Hu Meinyang, can only give you that condition. Then don't blame me. Chun Hao thought that he could use this opportunity to blackmail the demon fetus, but Hu Meinyang, who was obviously nervous, refused to compromise. Moreover, she didn't put up any defenses and fused with Chun Hao from beginning to end. Therefore, as soon as Chun Hao finished speaking, Hu Meinyang pushed herself to the limit and fused with Chun Hao. Since the two of them were already one, Chun Hao only needed to use his mind for Hu Meinyang to know what Chun Hao's decision was. The dazzling sword light instantly blossomed with a terrifying destructive sword intent. It condensed the profound energy of 7 emotions and 6 desires from Hu Meinyang and Chun Hao's Red Dust Heart Sutra. With Chun Hao as the main character, it was a sword of destruction. You're courting death. Rumble. The devil fetus didn't expect that Chun Hao, who seemed to be on its side, would suddenly join forces with Hu Meinyang. Unable to restrain its anger, it immediately used the 10th level of the Red Dust Heart Sutra to condense a powerful ultimate skill and face the two of them head-on. The Tao marks of the 13 white jade crystal steels were all under its control. Chun Hao, you're the main attacker. I'll stop it from controlling the steel. Hu Meinyang's attention was divided by more than half. In an instant, the devil fetus' terrifying attack was weakened by several times. Good. Old bitch, I'll let you be my stepping stone for the secular sword Tao. Chi. In a battle of pure soul and mind, Chun Hao wasn't shackled by his cultivation base. At this moment, he had completely integrated the 20 years he had spent cultivating the Red Dust Heart Sutra into his Red Dust Sword Tao. Destruction, deathless, slaughter, rivers and mountains, all kinds of sword lights crisscrossed, displaying unimaginable power under the essence of the solitary sword art. How is this possible? At this moment, both Hu Meinyang and the devil fetus were shocked. No one had expected Chun Hao to be so fierce. He had an overwhelming advantage. Hu Meinyang, let her control a little more of the white jade crystal steel's power. Otherwise, she won't even be qualified to be my stepping stone. Are you sure? Nonsense. Don't worry. I guarantee that she won't be able to cause any trouble. Chun Hao said, "All right then, be careful. It's the manifestation of the patriarch's evil thoughts and is extremely cunning. It won't be that simple. It's easy to suppress it, but difficult to kill it." Hu Meinyang said, "That's for you. Do as I say," Chun Hao said arrogantly. Seeing how confident Chun Hao was, Hu Meinyang didn't hesitate anymore. Moreover, at this moment, it was indeed very difficult for her to compete with the devil fetus for the power of the 13 white jade crystal steels. Boom! Boom! As Hu Meinyang relaxed, the devil fetus power suddenly increased, and he fought Chun Hao. Red Dust Heart Sutra and Red Dust Sword Principle complement each other. If I were to apply the profundity of the soul healing technique to it, I would definitely be able to unleash an even greater power. This devil fetus is no doubt the best opponent. Chi! Chun Hao's battle intent rose wildly. The killing intent, anger, and depression that Hu Meinyang had suppressed for 20 years were all released. It was extremely terrifying. Whether it was the Red Dust Sword Principle or the Red Dust Heart Sutra, the source of power was the 7 emotions and 6 desires that were unique to humans. This power was extremely mysterious. There was no clear boundary between soul power, physical body, and true origin. Once it was activated, it could cause a huge increase in power. The stronger the emotion, the stronger the increase. Even in the secular world, there were occasionally people who could erupt with this power. There were many examples in the real world. A weak mother lifting a car that weighed several tons, rescuing her son from under the car, and so on. These were all extraordinary powers released by the 7 emotions and 6 desires. What Chun Hao wanted to do now was to use the soul power involved in the soul healing technique and combine it with the 7 emotions and 6 desires. Enter the mortal world, control the mortal world, and finally transcend it. In one thought, the 7 emotions and 6 desires were transformed. Damn it, it's so difficult to deal with. Chun Hao had the absolute advantage and bombarded the devil fetus countless times. However, this evil thought was invisible and formless. Although it was getting weaker and weaker, it could always reform. Let's see how long you can last. Chun Hao's attacks became fiercer. Hiss! While Chun Hao was fighting the devil fetus crazily, Hu Meinyang became more and more relaxed. Every time Chun Hao destroyed the devil fetus, Hu Meinyang's mind became stronger. At this moment, Hu Meinyang had completely given up the control of the 13 white jade crystal tablets with the devil fetus. She was completely immersed in devouring and refining the evil thought of the devil fetus that Chun Hao had destroyed. She was becoming stronger and stronger. The devil fetus screamed again, but it was reborn in an instant. Little brother, if you kill me, you will regret it. The Red Dust Heart Sutra has 13 levels. If deceiving people with your lies, you could die now. Chi! Hu Meinyang suddenly shouted coldly. The majestic and terrifying energy suddenly turned into an endless black vortex. In an instant, it sucked in the weakened devil fetus. F*CK. What do you mean? Chun Hao was instantly enraged. I'm helping you, of course. All right, Chun Hao, thank you very much. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have been able to kill this devil fetus. Now, it only has less than 1/10 of its power left. I have temporarily suppressed it. However, to completely destroy it, I need your help to refine it. Hu Mainyang said in Chun Hao's mind. Hu Mainyang, don't you think you've crossed the line? You mean I've devoured its power? Nonsense. I've worked so hard to kill it, but you've devoured all its power. Can you be any more shameless? I want to use it to train myself. At the last moment, you're going to make a move? Are you afraid that it will confuse me? Or are you afraid that it will reveal your secret? Ha! Chen Hao, you think too much. We have a deal. If you help me kill it, I will teach you how much I understand in the future. I didn't say that I will share its power with you. Hu Mainyang said. Chapter 775. Besides, this belongs to me in the first place. You have to be clear about this. As for attacking now, that's because it's already very weak and won't be of much use to you. Moreover, no matter how many times you kill it, it will condense together and not much energy will be released. This is the mark of the devil fetus. Only by tempering your mind can you truly destroy it. Damn it, people like you change their faces faster than flipping a book. Refine it yourself. I want to accompany you, Chun Hao said angrily. Tell me one last time. Otherwise, I won't be able to refine it in a short period of time. In the end, it might even turn the tables. At that time, I won't be the only one dying. You have to think carefully. Hu Mainyang threatened. Master, I've checked everything. This woman is not a good person. You've been played. Suddenly, Old God's voice sounded in Chun Hao's mind. In the past 20 years, Chun Hao's impression of Hu Mainyang had improved. However, this did not mean that Chun Hao was truly at ease. On the contrary, Hu Mainyang, who was completely unfathomable, made Chun Hao feel uneasy. Chun Hao had long wanted to check Hu Mainyang's memories, but Hu Mainyang was extremely cautious. At all times, she would leave a trace of her mind to protect Chun Hao's sole residence. The more Hu Mainyang acted like this, the more suspicious Chun Hao became. During the decisive battle with the devil fetus, Chun Hao finally seized the opportunity. Hu Mainyang, who had no other thoughts, temporarily merged all her mind into her own space to refine the energy of the devil fetus. Moreover, she probably thought that Chun Hao could not spare any energy, which was why she did this. In fact, Chun Hao could not spare any energy, but Old God took advantage of this opportunity to enter. What's going on? The devil fetus is indeed the manifestation of the founder's evil thoughts. It was also left behind by the founder to train his disciples. However, more importantly, it sealed the Heart Sutra after the 10th level of the Red Dust Heart Sutra. It's true that the devil fetus wanted to possess Hu Mainyang, but it couldn't. As long as Hu Mainyang continued to refine it, the devil fetus would never be able to truly mature. This is because its source of power comes from the 13 white jade crystal tablets. This is something that Hu Mainyang can control. Moreover, the founder left a handwritten message, predicting the possibility of the devil fetus being born from evil thoughts and how to deal with it. Unable to explain it clearly, Old God shared the information he had found with Chun Hao. After that, Chun Hao clearly understood what was going on, and he forcefully restrained his killing intent. Okay, I'll help you one last time. Tell me, how do you want me to help you refine it? In Hu Mainyang's mind, Chun Hao, who had taken the form of his divine sense, seemed to be extremely depressed as he spoke. This devil fetus imprint is the manifestation of the evil thoughts of the founder of the Misty Rain Tower. It can be said that it's an immortal existence. If we want to completely erase it, we have to merge our soul palaces and combine our soul imprints to refine it. This time, we'll rely on our own abilities. Whoever can refine, the most will get it. With the devil fetus imprint, our soul imprints will also receive amazing benefits. Not to mention the improvement of our cultivation talent. The unique skills and memories of the Misty Rain Tower's inheritance in it will be a great fortune. You mean, my soul must completely leave my body and enter your mind? That's right. Why? Are you afraid? Nonsense. Do you think I'm an idiot? Once my soul enters your mind, you can do whatever you want of me. Are you still a man? Don't you know what I've been like for the past 20 years? If I want to kill you, I can do it just by raising my hand. Why go through so much trouble? Hu Mainyang said coldly. If it weren't for the mysterious existence of the old god, who had quietly probed into Hu Mainyang's memories, Chun Hao would never have thought that Hu Mainyang was lying. Whether it was her expression, acting skills, or analysis based on common sense, Hu Mainyang was right. Even if she wanted to use Chun Hao to deal with the devil fetus, if she wanted to kill him, she wouldn't have signed a 1,500-year soul symbiosis contract. On the surface, she didn't seem to have any intention of harming Chun Hao. Damn it, meeting a woman like you. This old man must have had 8 lifetimes of bad luck. Let's begin. Wait, let's both recover to our peak condition first. You've consumed a lot of energy just now. You can't let your guard down. I also need to recover. Up to you. Chi. As Chun Hao spoke, his mind jumped out of Hu Mainyang's mind. Their minds were connected, but they were cut off at the same time. They slowly closed their eyes and immersed themselves in their own cultivation. Master, this woman's soul and willpower aren't any weaker than yours. She's 100 times more vicious and cunning than you. Do you really want to go in? Do I have a choice? If I don't go in with the soul symbiosis contract, although she won't dare to kill me, she can definitely control me. She can even seal me. When she grows to a certain level, she'll enter my mind directly. At that time, it'll be worse. So, although entering her mind now is a little passive, it's still better than that. That's true. Since it's unavoidable then, Master, let me enter the core of your soul residence first. No need. Master, say no more. If I can't even deal with a woman, how can I reach the peak of martial arts? Only by killing her with my true strength can I be at ease. All right, but Master, you have to be careful. This woman is full of tricks. She says she's resting now, but she's definitely preparing to deal with you. She knows how strong Master's soul and willpower are. I'm afraid she won't fight you head on. Okay. Hiss, hiss, hiss. Hu Mainyang's body was surrounded by laws and thousands of great Taos. In the depths of her soul residence, vast and pure energy revolved around the devil fetus and crazily devoured it. Her so-called resting to her peak state was nothing more than refining the devil fetus in advance. Against Chun Hao, due to her advantage in cultivation, she indeed had the complete initiative. However, against Chun Hao's soul and willpower, especially the sword Dao that Chun Hao displayed when dealing with the devil fetus, she didn't dare to let her guard down. If she was confident in something, she had to maximize her chances and ensure that nothing would go wrong. After refining the devil fetus's imprint, I'll be stronger. Then, I'll condense a fake devil fetus and set it up as a trap. I'll fight him head-on while I attack from behind. No matter how strong his soul is, he'll be completely under my control. First, I'll take his soul residence and remove the soul symbiosis contract. Then, I'll be able to destroy him. The Tao manifestation, immortal fruit core, and countless treasures will be mine. I'll also be able to obtain his memories. Then, I'll refine his entire body into mine. I'm really looking forward to how strong I'll be at that time. This kid must have some doubts, but I don't have any flaws. Even if he did, he wouldn't have a choice. Chapter 776. Still not done. For hours later, Chun Hao asked impatiently, "Don't worry, I might be able to comprehend the 10th tier. Wait for me and don't disturb me. I'll call you when I'm done." Hu Mainyang said. Refining the devil fetus was not something that could be done in a short period of time. Hu Mainyang had already thought of a reason. After receiving Hu Mainyang's reply, Chun Hao guessed what Hu Mainyang wanted to do. He did not say anything else and instead immersed himself in comprehending the fusion of the secular sword principle, secular heart sutra, and soul healing technique. 3 days later, Hu Mainyang had finally finished refining the devil fetus. Chun Hao did not say anything and directly sent his soul into Hu Mainyang's mind. I've already absorbed the devil fetus into my soul residence. Come in and use your soul imprint to refine it with me. I believe it will only take a few hours to kill it. Hu Mainyang, Why do I feel like you're going to do something to me? I have 100 ways to control you. Why do I have to use this? You're right. Let's merge our souls first. Only then can we act in unison. Chenhao said, there's no need. I've said it before. This time, we'll rely on our own abilities to refine the devil fetus's imprint. Whoever refines, more will get more. As long as the two of us work together, it won't be able to resist us. There's no need to merge our souls. Come in, Hu Mainyang said calmly. All right, let me remind you, although your soul power is not bad, it's just SOSO to me. If you really want to do something, don't blame me for fighting to the death. Chenhao said arrogantly. Hee, don't worry. You're so long-winded. You're not a man at all, Hu Mainyang said. In her heart, she thought, idiot, after refining the devil fetus's power, my soul power is only half of what it used to be. Do you really think you can compete with me? The other half of Hu Mainyang's soul power had already been refined into a fake devil embryo. Once Chenhao entered her soul palace and started to refine the devil fetus, she would launch a pincer attack. She would control and seal Chenhao. Then, she would have no choice but to swallow Chenhao's soul energy bit by bit. Eventually, she would have complete control over Chenhao, cancel the contract, and kill him. Hiss! Chenhao didn't hesitate and directly stepped into Hu Mainyang's soul palace. You first, Chi. Chi. Hu Mainyang had just opened her mouth to bait Chenhao into starting, but she hadn't expected that Chenhao would directly attack. What shocked her even more was that Chenhao wasn't tempering himself. Instead, he was using his most berserk spiritual strength to attack the devil fetus. Chenhao, what are you doing? I asked you to refine it, not kill it. I don't care about the energy of the devil fetus imprint. I'll give it all to you. I'll kill it, and you can refine it yourself. The sooner you finish refining it, the sooner we can part ways. Rumble. A terrifying soul explosion suddenly sounded. How dare you not listen to me? Hu Mainyang said angrily, Seal. Chi. Boundless soul power formed a terrifying rune and bloomed from Hu Mainyang's soul imprint. It covered the sky and covered the earth as it enveloped Chenhao. Their souls intertwined in an instant. Neither Chenhao nor Hu Mainyang objected to this, because neither of them wanted the other to explode their soul imprint and die together. Bitch, do you really think I don't know what you're doing? What do you mean? If you act recklessly again, I'll kill you immediately. Do as I say. Use the power of the soul imprint to refine the devil fetus. Immediately. Do you think I'm an idiot? The devil fetus now is you, bitch. Chi. Chenhao's soul emitted a dazzling sword light and attacked Hu Mainyang's rune. However, Hu Mainyang's heart trembled, and her voice suddenly became extremely cold. You actually know about it? It seems that I've underestimated you. Since that's the case, there's no need to hide anymore. It's just a matter of wasting more time and energy. Sacrifice. Chi. In an instant, 13 white jade tablets appeared out of thin air. Each of them bloomed with a dazzling light. The runes on the tablets seemed to have come to life at this moment and connected together. They suppressed Chenhao's soul. Condense. Chenhao shouted angrily. His soul shrunk in an instant, as if it had turned into a solid crystal, emitting a sparkling and translucent light. Chi. His soul turned into a sword and ferociously attacked Hu Mainyang's soul imprint. Rumble. The moment the white jade tablets came crashing down like mountains, Chenhao and Hu Mainyang's soul imprints collided and became entangled. Chi. At this moment, the devil fetus returned and merged with Hu Mainyang. Bitch, let's see who's going to devour who. Buzz. Chenhao's soul trembled. Suddenly, thousands of high-speed whirlpools appeared on the surface of his soul and began to devour Hu Mainyang's soul energy. How can you be compared to me, Hu Mainyang? Whether it's soul energy, soul imprint, or will, there's a huge gap between us. Chi. Hu Mainyang sensed Chenhao's soul and snorted coldly. At the same time, she began to devour Chenhao's soul energy at an even faster speed. At this moment, Chun Hao's sudden attack caught Hu Meinyang off guard. Her carefully laid trap was completely ineffective. She was forced to entangle her soul with Chun Hao's. It became a battle of soul energy and will. However, although Hu Meinyang was shocked and angry, she was not afraid. This was because Chun Hao was much weaker than she had imagined. She believed that with her powerful soul energy and will, it would not be difficult for her to control Chun Hao. If she had known that Chun Hao was only this strong, she would not have spent so much effort to wait for 3 days. Then let's try it. It won't be long before you know that you're just struggling on your deathbed. Hu Meinyang, did not want to waste too much energy. That's why I set a trap for you. It can also reduce the time you're in pain. I didn't expect you to be so useless. I'm curious. How did you know that I was going to devour you? Are you curious? Why don't you sense your soul abode? Ha ha! Chun Hao said disdainfully. What? What's going on? Hu Meinyang was shocked. Are you fusing with your soul? Congratulations, you're right. Bitch, it must feel good to be attacked from both sides, right? Fusing with your soul and splitting into two. Even I have underestimated you. However, even if you fuse with your soul, you're still not my match. Devour. Hu Meinyang shouted. Her soul-devouring power increased by several folds. Chapter 777. She's stronger than I expected? Although Chun Hao had expected this, he was still shocked when he sensed Hu Meinyang's terrifying speed of devouring and refining. Hu Meinyang had an innate Taoist embryo and a devil fetus. Moreover, her realm was much higher than Chun Hao's. She was definitely a strong opponent that Chun Hao had never encountered before. If Chun Hao hadn't made sufficient preparations to break through Hu Meinyang's perilous situation at the beginning and split his fused soul into two in advance, it wouldn't have been long before he was killed by this woman. Even so, Chun Hao was still at a disadvantage when facing Hu Meinyang, who suddenly went all out, buzz. Without any hesitation, Chun Hao's two souls suddenly trembled violently as he immersed himself in the chanting of the primary principles of the Great Tao. The Sanskrit of the Great Tao resounded in the soul, connecting the two souls and resonating with each other. The secular sword way and the solitary sword art merged together, activated by soul power, violently attacking, devouring, and refining. Boom, boom, boom. The sword light and the 13 white jade crystal steels activated by Hu Meinyang set off monstrous waves in Hu Meinyang's soul abode. Terrifying explosions, devastating soul power, and earth-shattering pressure. If they were in the big world, many experts of the heaven celestial stage would have been intimidated. At this moment, whether it was Hu Meinyang or Chun Hao, the pain their souls were enduring was beyond their imagination. The feeling of being crushed and devoured by the other party was 100 times, 1,000 times more painful than being bitten by thousands of ants. At this moment, their willpower and state of mind were crucial to the two of them. Once either of them couldn't bear the pain and their mind collapsed, then no matter how strong their soul power was or how fast they could devour and refine the other party, they would disintegrate in an instant. However, the two of them gritted their teeth and were determined to win. At this point, it was a fight to the death. There was no way out. Both of them knew that only one of them could survive. Whoever controlled the other could kill the other. In the entanglement of souls, it was impossible to detonate the soul using the soul symbiotic contract. The only way was to continuously attack, crush, devour, and refine. Formless, without thought, without heaven and earth, without me, Chun Hao, who had long surpassed his own limits, was in more and more pain. However, the Sanskrit chants of the Great Tao became more and more magnificent. The general outline of the Great Tao, that Chun Hao still didn't know how it worked, suddenly took shape with his voice as he recited it over and over again. It condensed into golden characters that floated around Chun Hao's soul that had been split into two, radiating crystal light in all directions. Attacking, crushing the opponent's soul power, devouring, refining. All of this was done under the control of Chun Hao's will. But at this moment, the enlightenment and changes from the general outline of the great Tao allowed Chun Hao to enter a state of emptiness. The secular swordsmanship, the secular heart sutra, the solitary sword art, the use of the soul, and many other ultimate techniques suddenly merged into one, as if they had become the most natural rhythm of millions of years, the pulse of the world. However, the general outline of the great Tao was the cauldron that fused everything together. How can he be so strong? I, Hu Meinyang, have a pre-celestial Tao embryo, a mid-heavenly immortal. Furthermore, I've refined the evil will of the patriarch, and I'm in my soul abode. There's no reason for me to be inferior to him. I can't lose. Boom, boom, boom. Hu Meinyang's soul suddenly let out an extremely sharp, soul-piercing howl. Using the sound to form a seal, she isolated herself from the pain. Once again, she was evenly matched with Chun Hao, who had suddenly become stronger. Buzz, 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 buzz. But only a moment later, a soul-shaking sound that contained a mystery that Hu Meinyang couldn't understand directly drowned out her howl. Chun Hao's speed of devouring her soul power became even faster. Impossible. I can't lose. I, Hu Meinyang, am loved by all. I was born in defiance of the heavens, and I grew up in defiance of the heavens. No one can stop me from stepping on the path to the peak. I must trample all the heavens under my feet. Ha ha! Hu Meinyang, you deceived your master and destroyed your ancestors. You're doomed. This is karma. This is retribution. Suddenly, from the depths of Hu Meinyang's soul imprint came a charming but cold voice that took pleasure in her misfortune. What? You're still here? Humph. You're just a heaven celestial. You want to really kill me? I'm the spiritual intelligence born from the evil thoughts of your ancestor. I'm immortal, indestructible, and immortal. Ha ha. Now, submit to me, and I can still let you live. Together with me, we can rise above the heavens, become true immortals, and attain eternal life. Otherwise, you'll be killed by this kid. This kid is not as simple as you think. Ha ha. Dream on. No one can kill me, Hu Meinyang, and no one can make me submit. You better think carefully, or it'll be too late. When your soul power is almost completely devoured by this kid, even if I take control, you won't be able to turn the situation around. Stop dreaming. If you don't want to die, then submit to me. Become my slave. Then you can just wait for death. At most, I'll return to the 13 white jade crystal tablets and wait for my spiritual intelligence to be born again. Ha ha. Chi. 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 Hu Meinyang could clearly feel that Chun Hao was devouring her soul power faster and faster. The sound of the great path's Sanskrit, which could shake one's soul, made it difficult for her to breathe. At this point, no matter how unwilling she was, she knew that this time she was defeated. Defeated by a cultivator at the Earth's celestial stage who was being toyed with by her. She regretted that she had underestimated Chun Hao. But it was useless to regret. Let's each take a step back. Your mark and my mark will fuse together and coexist forever. You and I have the same goal, so we won't affect each other. The devil fetus sensed Hu Meinyang's condition and said again. Everything was under its control. The 10th level of the Red Dust Sutra, illusion is reality. Even Hu Meinyang didn't know what was happening to her. Similarly, the 10th level of the Red Dust Sutra, illusion is reality, affected not only Hu Meinyang, but also Chun Hao. Okay, I promise you. Come in. Ha ha. Don't play tricks with me. Without me, you know the consequences. Chi, the devil fetus, which Hu Meinyang couldn't sense in the slightest, suddenly appeared and fused into her soul imprint. Buzz. In an instant, their soul marks merged into one. I'll take the lead. You and I become one. Chi, 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 chi. Rumble. As the devil fetus spoke, the 10th level of the Red Dust Sutra, which merged with the power of their soul marks, started to run wildly. At this moment, Chun Hao suddenly felt the pressure on him increase greatly. the 10th level of the Red Dust Sutra, the aura of the devil fetus? Chun Hao, who was in a state of thoughtless tranquility, suddenly woke up. He was shocked. He had thought that victory was in his hands, and he would soon be able to control Hu Meinyang completely. He didn't expect that the devil fetus would appear again and merge with Hu Meinyang's soul mark. What's going on? Did Hu Meinyang not only fail to refine the devil fetus, but she was also conquered by it? This wasn't the situation when he and Hu Meinyang had joined forces to deal with the devil fetus. At that time, the devil fetus could only control a small portion of the power of the 13 white jade crystal tablets. Now, the devil fetus and Hu Meinyang had complete control over the white jade crystal tablets, including Hu Meinyang's soul strength. This situation, coupled with the power of the 10th level of the Red Dust Sutra, put Chun Hao in a dangerous situation. The tables had turned. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.